Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. It is Saturday. That's right. We're getting closer to Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. Santa has some things in the bag today, some presents to send your guys' way. So just wanted to make sure, chat, you're probably saying, why is he dressed like that? Well, we'll get to that a little bit later. But if you're watching on the rewind, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We think you're going to enjoy today's show. So just letting you guys know, chat, we have a treat. We have pandemonium at your feet. We titled it The Main Event. Here it comes, bigger than any wrestler over the ropes being sent. It'll leave you with a warm embrace when it's gone and went. But this tag team combo will capture your hearts as they come to represent. So pulling into a pit stop with two boys and their pops, it's Mr. and Mrs. JLH. Let's take it from the top. All right, and hey, everybody in the chat, we're going to go ahead and just basically we want to say hi. So let me, now obviously, you know, JLH, he loves his Kiss, and he has his ace, but I got my ace too. So Ace, let's see who's in the chat. Will you just kind of give us a look-see here? All right, yeah, oh, I see the Roo Crew. Awesome, lots of toys to see. How's it going, guys? I know everybody's going to be trickling in here. Like I said, it is the main event. We do have some undercards that are not exactly undercards. They're still going to be considered mini main events. So we are going to get things going. And just want to let you know, so this man here and his wife, the amazing Mr. JLH and Mrs. JLH, they're ready to come and enjoy the show. So like I said, let's rock out, guys. We definitely want to rock out today. Let me go ahead and introduce you all the way from Fresno, California. Give it a big listen, guys. That's right, Fresno, California. It is Stoppin' Funko, Mr. and Mrs. JLH.
Oh my God.
Well,
I need a clip of that because that's going to be the eternal entrance to the new show come the first of the year.
Yes.
We'll pay you for the copyright infringement once we get rich enough to do that.
No problem. How are you guys today? How's everything going on this fine Saturday?
Man, oh man, I tell you, if it was any better, there'd have to be two of me. It's just, it's unbelievable how it's going. We actually had the fortune to get out of the house this afternoon, this early morning prior to the show here, and go out and go to a shop that just opened here, right here in Fresno, California, cheap pop. And we went to a place called Chunko Pops. It's a small business here in town trying to make their headway in downtown Fresno, and all the best of luck to them. They'll have my support because, well, they got my local dollars before the sales tax went up here. So yeah.
Nice.
We'll be joining that Bay Area tax rate soon enough. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's going to be hitting us. We definitely understand that. So obviously, I wanted to have an opportunity to bring you on. You obviously have a lot of excitement. I know you've been extremely busy with your 25 days of Christmas. I've been able to watch and enjoy that as much as other people have as well. So I mean, there's some great segments there. Obviously, inviting with you in the sauna. You're obviously, feeling relaxed. We found the Pumpkin King, which was awesome. But what I wanted to do, and you managed to lose them again, so it's a good thing we found them again.
It's all due to my right hand, the hand that was damaged in Seattle, the worst town I've ever been to.
Well, Miss JLH, I think next year the Pumpkin King might have to be in your care. So when you come out with the decorations,
everything's in her care. Trust me. I rarely leave the house because if it did, we think COVID's bad.
So like some people are trickling in here. So once again, I am gonna pull out my ace and just check again. I want to just make sure who everybody is.
Love
All right,
it.
Ace. Who do we see here? Oh, we got Dudes Talking Comics, Todd, Miss JLH, Horror Collector Fiend, LaRue Crew, Andrew Weeble. What's up, everybody? How are you guys
Hello, everybody.
doing? Let's give you guys a big hello.
Oh, I have my coffee cup.
Oh man, I tell you what, I was in tears last night when we finally watched the show. I won't give any spoilers away, but I wasn't happy. I would spring in tears in my eyes right now.
Well, and I know there are some people out there that still have yet to see it, and I get that, and you know, I watched it myself, and so when people do get to see it, I know they'll be talking about it for a while. Can't wait till next season. But
the Funkos come out of it.
Just right here in the back, on the wall here is JLH. It turns out my son's Jacob, and I got Logan, and we had an H to put on there. So it's amazing. I guess you're supposed to be here at home with us. So,
I'm telling you, I fit like what is it, wall rot or something. You don't know it's there, but it's there for years. You know. Aye.
So here's the thing. Here's the scoop, the score, the story.
Oh, brother.
I want to make sure that the chat is going to pick up what you're putting down. You know, this isn't just a game show. This is an opportunity to get behind the game show, get behind the creators, get behind the mind, get behind you. Like, we want to know a little bit more about you. One of the reasons why I do this show is it gives me an opportunity to know who is JLH. You know, what drives him? What's his fandom? You know, what the people that are the creators in the YouTube community, we get to have a sit down, a little powwow, a little chat. So
I'll tell you, not to interrupt, but this is where you might find yourself getting the best-selling novel here. So just be careful. You know what I'm saying?
Well, so you guys want to make sure, grab something to drink, grab your snacks, you know, because you definitely, it's going to be a great show. You know, I don't want you to have to hide away because, like I said, no, just stay there, ready to go.
I love that.
So we're gonna get going. What I wanted to kind of let me real quick dive into this. A little bit of personal side here first. You know, I know you got a couple of fandoms, and I definitely want to touch on that. But I have some questions prepared for you. So I just wanted to kind of go down memory lane with you. So back on April 11th, 2020, your first pop was Brock Lesnar. And this puts you into a Funko madness, the worldwide Funko Federation, so to speak. What fandoms, you know, do you guys collect? Because I see so much back there. It's like a Heinz 57 variety of stuff. So what is driving your fandom? I know you're a wrestling guy, and I know you like your rock, but I mean, what drives your fandom? Do you just like go into the store and just pick stuff off the shelf, or like is there certain things you're looking for? When you started this channel, like what was going on? You obviously got the wrestling pop.
Well, got some feedback there. Here's how I would. The show started on April 11th, 2020. The first Brock Lesnar pop was bought years prior to that.
Yeah.
But in saying that, here's what happens when I get fixated on something I'm passionate about. I'll just throw all of my energy into it. Not like stalker energy, but like, you know, pure affection energy. I'm not going to sit outside your house and wait and bother you or something. You know what I'm saying? I'll buy all your stuff or whatever. But Kiss, for example. I had a room dedicated to Kiss that you know, that was called the Kiss Room, and people would literally come to my home and, you know, look at the Kiss room because I had all the Kiss posters framed, and guitars and this and that and the other. And, you know, through a divorce in the course of a bad relationship between that one and this one, things got lost and tossed or whatever out of frustration in life. So the Kiss room doesn't really have enough stuff left over to have a room anymore. But what happened was Allison bought me this Brock Lesnar pop because we had just met around that time, and
I think it was for like our 2-month dating anniversary. Like it was, I framed him a picture and was like, "Oh, look at this wrestling pop. This is cool."
Right. And she knew nothing about it per se.
Yeah.
I was just getting her introduced to the world of pro wrestling. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're gonna date a pro wrestling fan, just be sure to know you're dating somebody who's insane and probably won't make a lot of money in their life. So or they'll spend it all on toys and wrestling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If they do. So what happens is she buys the Brock Lesnar. So I reciprocate because I didn't have an interest in Funko, but if wrestling was cool, it was cool from her. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll reciprocate with the same thing. So she liked Alice in Wonderland. So I ended up getting her an Alice in Wonderland, but not the cool one, like the Disney one. I got her the
live
offshoot
action
movie
one.
live
But it was
version
so
one.
cool.
She understood it was literally one of those things like, oh, the thought that counts, right? So, so then our first set in between here and there, our first television show we ever binged together was I introduced her to the show Lost.
And introduced me to quite a few shows over the years, but yeah, currently that first one was Lost, and I went in wholeheartedly.
Yeah, so I got her into Lost, and it turned out around that time Lost introduced a Funko Pop line.
Yeah.
It
was our first like pre-order full set.
Yeah, from Pops in a Box, I think. I mean, I think that's who our first person we ever ordered from for us was like a set. And so we got this Lost set and it was there, and we ended up selling it on Mercari, and now we got an open box set because we felt bad about selling that. It's just, but anyway, but to answer your question a long way around, what's our fandoms? I saw a YouTube show once where a guy was talking about, there's certain types of collectors out there, and there's types of collectors that just buy stuff just to fill up the room and fill up the wall and and he's 100% correct. He's 100% correct about that. But the reason I say he's also missing the point about that is because it's a deeper dive, and what I mean by that is it's a mental thing, and it goes back to what I said at the origination of this ridiculously long paragraph I'm giving you is ADD, OCD, all the mental stuff you could fit into somebody's insane brain. When it's thrown into, I need to have the most of that. Maybe it's a narcissistic thing too, I guess. I don't know. I'm one of the few narcissists you'll ever meet, by the way, that actually owns up to the fact that I am. Because you got to bite that animal, you got to bite that hand, or otherwise it'll keep beating you, not feeding you, beating you. But the thing is, we buy them all and what I like is, I like the completion of it all. I like the look of it. I like the fact that people can come in here and be like, there's never somebody that comes in and goes, oh my God, that's terrible.
And everybody can always find something that they like. Like, I think our fandoms are mainly driven by, we like things, so we get it. Like, it doesn't have to fit a set, but we sometimes do complete sets.
I think the fandom for me is always the conversation that's to be had about whatever we have, because
the memories attached to getting.
Yes, you could walk in, and again, going back to my Kiss room, or going back to when I showed you this a few minutes ago, Eric, where when I was a kid, I collected starting lineup figures, right? Yeah. And I had all of these things. I still have. I mean, I was because it was like, I know Eric's going to ask me stuff about my childhood and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I have, who has a Ray Lankford starting lineup and package? I mean, who even remembers Ray Lankford? You know what I'm saying? But it's like I collected them because I like to have all of them. Because here's what it is: if you want to get down to the base level at all, God, we're getting down to the Barbara Walters part already. I'll get back to you in a second, but it's being an only child syndrome. Left me with every FOMO and GOMO and LOMO and whatever SHOMO and slow-mo you could throw out there. But that's what it is. Being an only child at the base level all forced me to want me to have it all. Because there's a whole thing there. Anyway, back to you.
An only child.
So I wanted to ask you, basically, I mean, obviously, you deal with wrestling, and she got you the wrestling pop, and you guys were dating. So obviously you did something right for her to get into the ring, right?
Yeah, we're still finding out what that is. Yeah. We literally, this is one of those relationships you read about on one of those dating sites called Match. We met on Match.
You're a Match success story.
Yeah, literally. And it proves that if you pay for those sites, it'll probably last longer than the ones you don't pay for. So
well, I wanted to know, I mean, touching on that, I mean, like I said, you guys, just to share, like you said, the scoop, the score, the story, your journey, what sparked the attraction bringing together you two? I mean, like I said, when you look at you guys on camera, as far as how you work, you know, and your pictures and everything, the impression, the puzzle pieces fit, you know. So I want to know, you know, number one, Miss JLH, do you let John run wild and support him, or do you put your spin and input on things? You know, how does this work bouncing off of each other? How has this relationship over the years turned into this journey with YouTube to continue? How has it strengthened that?
I feel like at the end of the day, like our relationship, much like our YouTube relationship, is it's a partnership. You know, it's 50-50. We have our roles. He's definitely the talent behind it. And while I won't say I let him run crazy, you know, because I'm definitely the more conservative of the two, I very much do try to give him his own rope to hang himself with, be supportive in the background, you know? And the YouTube idea was just kind of a thing that we came up with together, and it's very much been a partnership since the beginning, which makes it fun to continue because it's something we do together. And
speaking to that, where, you know, the YouTube thing happens where, you know, you asked Eric a few minutes ago, you know, why so many, or, you know, what's the fandom drive? If it wasn't for this wall of toys and memories, they're memories, because like she said, there's so much tied to finding them or getting them or ordering them, or what you did with them as a kid or whatever. What it boils down to is it's just being able to just step in here whenever I want and be happy.
And it's something
and that's what drives my fandom.
It's something that we started together. Like,
yeah.
We both started
we both talk about it.
It wasn't his thing before me. It wasn't my thing before him.
It's our thing.
It's our thing.
Yeah. And it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Like, we thought, we'll be into this Funko thing for a couple of months, or who knows, we'll buy a few that are cool or whatever. You know, we'll have refrigerator tops full. Oh, we'll have a drawers full or a shelf full. We'll have hundreds of them where we take them out of the box and display and keep the boxes for some mysterious reason. Like, literally, there's tons of pops here that were at one time displayed out of box, and I kept the boxes and I never ever kept the boxes, but something in my tiny brain said keep the boxes, and I displayed the boxes privately in a closet. That's what was weird, when you display the boxes privately in the closet.
Well, when we talk about memories, you know, you guys obviously met each other. What is one from each of you? What is one of your favorite memories from dating each other over the years? Like, what is something that's kind of stood out, and you're like, you know, I remember this day. Like, and I'm sure there was plenty of them, but I mean, at least kind of give us an idea of one of your favorite memories.
I mean, I would say we would both agree that our Disney trip to Orlando last year was our co-favorite memory of being together.
A week-long memory, for sure.
Yeah.
That was the most amazing trip.
There's so many standout moments of that makes it the moment. You're showing a picture there. That was a standout. That was a standout last weekend of 2020 for us, because where you're seeing us there is a Funko shop in Hollywood.
Leap Day, February 29th.
Yep. February 20th. There's a standout date for you. February 29th, 2020. The day after we saw the Amazons and Dirty Honey at the El Rey in LA, at what would be our last concert so far, because we're big concert goers. Yeah. You know, I introduced Allison to the concert scene. Yep. I'll tell you, there's a standout moment taking her to her first concert, which turned out to be Y&T.
It was my very first concert ever.
Yeah, and she got to meet Dave Minichetti and a couple other guys in the band, and it was, you know, I mean, yeah, man. And if you've never heard or seen of Y&T, I highly recommend that you get your vinyl spinning or your CDs in the shuffle mode or whatever, because you need to do it.
I think my standout moment, I'm going to dig a little deeper into our trip to Disney World, was watching him see the Millennium Falcon in person for the first time and watching him cry. I mean, tear up, you know, like, it was just such a build up, and it was just awesome to see. Like, I feel like he thought the trip was mainly for me, and when he realized that there was so much of it for him, that was a nice memory.
Well, he's like running. He's running to the next ride. He's like, come on, we gotta go. And you're
got
like,
off, and he's immediately like, get back in line. I want to be the pilot this time.
Yeah. I'm like, get on, hurry. Here's something funny though. And speaking to that, last night we did a clip in today's show. That's Finn Balor. We were able to go to NXT at the Full Sail University that same week. And Finn Balor made his return to NXT that night, and we show a clip in today's show about that.
He's one of my favorite wrestlers.
Oh, by far. But she lets out on an audio clip of it. We'll have to play the audio clip because it's hilarious.
It's a Snapchat, yeah.
But she plays this. There's this guttural roar out of her. It's like, yeah. Like I want to play it in slow motion because it'd be hilarious, you know. But that's a standout moment for me, 100%. Yeah. And our first date at Chili's.
Our first date.
Yes.
Nice. Well, like I said,
I want the Chili's because I want my baby back, ribs.
I definitely, like I said, I think the puzzle pieces fit. So, you know, I send a bunch of positive vibes in that direction with you guys. You're a great couple. Mr. JLH, I want to ask you, what do you do to get in your creative zone? You have so much energy. You have the excitement, the passion. People that are just coming into your channel for the first time and discovering you, they're like, wow, like, you know, they need to take the batteries out of this guy. Like, what's going on? He's just like, you know, all over the place, but it's so exciting and refreshing. You know, where does your creativity come from? Like, you know, do you just get out of bed and say, okay, I want to do this today? Or, you know,
yeah. I say that right after I say, oh God, I got to let the dogs out. I got to feed the dogs. I got to get some coffee. I got to do this. I got to do that. No, where it really comes from as far as this show is concerned is years and years of trying and failing at climbing some kind of entertainment mountain that I wish that I could climb higher at by the age of nearly 46. I mean, to give you a backstory, it would be the fact that I grew up loving radio broadcasting. Like there was local DJs here in Fresno who were named Dean and Don in the Breakfast Club, and they were my first introduction to morning radio. And they painted this mental picture, you know, of characters and voices and, you know, and bits and all these things. And radio for me was the first true like medium that I was like, wow, you could do a lot more here, and nobody would know who you were if you weren't a good-looking kid, because I was overweight as a kid, and that's a whole other side to this story. But in saying that, I went to radio broadcasting school. My intent was to be a radio broadcaster, all this stuff. Unfortunately, I got into radio broadcasting just as the medium was being overtaken by the now introduced MP3 players and technology that was eliminating the need for DJs overall, right? So the people that were staying in radio that you're still hearing literally to this day, because I bet whatever hometown you're in, whoever's on your local radio station has been there the last 30 years, because they ain't going nowhere. And if they're not on the station you remember, they're just moving to another station in town, because nobody ever leaves town. Radio is too much of an incestuous business where nobody ever leaves, because if they do, they'll be out of work. 100% correct, and you can bet the farm on that. But in saying that, I also put the cart before the horse, because I ended up, you know, having a first marriage and kids. I did everything before. I did everything backwards in the sense of chasing a dream while trying to live a reality, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I mean, and don't get me wrong, late in the game, I had the ability through not even going through like the $5,000 I paid the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, where I had to learn how to pronounce my P's, you know, and all this stuff, right? That paid off in no physical way at all. There's your P words for you. But what happened was I had a back injury where I ended up requiring me to have a multi-level spinal fusion in 2003 and 4. Through that rehabilitation process and being out of work and this and that and the other, I was always encouraged prior to ever doing anything to try stand-up comedy, because I was funny or this or that, what people thought of as funny or whatever. And to be fair, I'm a great living room comic. At least I think I am.
He is a great living room comic.
Yeah,
absolutely.
100%. But there's a big difference between being a living room comic and being on stage, because you ask about the energy. Sometimes I'm a lot, right? I mean,
sometimes you're a lot.
Yeah, and it's like I've been called an energy sponge by former employers. But hence the word former, right? But the thing is, through stand-up comedy, I started doing stand-up comedy in Boston, Massachusetts, at Dick Doherty's Comedy Vault. And I would go in on open mics where you had to have 2-person bringers, and I got to the point of doing comedy there where I didn't have to bring people anymore. So that's kind of a level up as far as comedy goes, where you don't have to bring people. You can just go and do comedy, which was a blessing, right? I may still not have been making money, but I didn't have to bring anybody to charge them to come see me do the same Hulk Hogan impression over and over, right? So I ended up doing comedy in Rhode Island, New Hampshire, all Eastern stuff, you know, little spots here and there where they were open mics. I got some paid gigs out of the do, and some people that didn't pay, even though they said they were gonna. Legendary in comedy. But then through happenstance and circumstance and all the other stances, I moved from Massachusetts with my family in 2008 to here to California. And I continued. Oh, and in that stand-up point in Massachusetts, I ended up gaining a radio spot on a radio show on WAAF in Boston as kind of a side voice on a Saturday night radio show. There's still audio clips of it out there. I was just listening. We interviewed Shannon Tweed at one point, and that was a great interview. But then we moved to Fresno, and I actually got a job as a DJ on 105.1 The Blaze, classic rock that really rocks. Here's Dawkins out sending out to Mama J right there. Dawkins followed up by some Bon Jovi, right? So yeah, I was a DJ at 105.1 The Blaze. I also was a side voice on the morning program on occasion to Jennifer Lipp, who was one of my radio icons. If you lived on the West Coast or in Buffalo, New York at any point in time in your life, you might have heard of Jennifer Lipp, Jen Lipp. She had a morning show, and she was also on the front row with Chris Daniel here in Fresno, who were also radio voices that I really was able to meet later in life, which was cool to meet people and actually work with and all that stuff. But I did a bit with her called Why Are You in Court? And I would go down to the courthouse here in town, and by my description of people in line at the courthouse based off their race, what they were wearing or whatever, you, the listener at home, would get to guess, you know, why they were in court. And you would win 2 movie tickets based off my phone description. So there were some interesting moments at the courthouse for sure.
Well, let me ask you, I mean, you've gone through some, you know, over the years, you've gone through some trials, some errors, you've gone through some journey. Have you ever felt enlightened by an event in the past that gave you a new perspective in life?
Well, I mean, it's always a hindsight enlightenment. I never, because I always jump into things both feet, and it's usually, it either goes, it's like Paul Stanley says, you know, you either love us, you either hate us. If you're in the middle, get out. Like I either jump in and succeed or jump in and fail, basically. You know what I'm saying? I would say even in a recent historical sense, even though I hated working there at the end, I probably would not have quit my job in 2020 because who knew what was coming a month later? You know what I'm saying? But I mean, that's just the most recent one. I mean, there's just so many. I can go back to when I was 16 years old and, you know, found out my parents were divorcing. I mean, it's there's moments where you get enlightened that life is either handing you lemons or lemonade, you know, and it's probably going to be spilled all over the place anyway. You know what I'm saying? I'll tell you this. I mean, divorce enlightens you real quick, right? And you know, and you realize that sometimes you're better off that way because you become better friends with that person on the back end of that than you were living with them all day of your life. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I know. I mean, I've heard so many, you know, that people have said, oh, you know, marriage is grand, divorce is 10 grand. And I mean, some people fit, you know, some people absolutely fit. And, you know, for some people it works. And that's what it comes down to. It's a lot of effort between the two that are involved, and how much they care and want to put
right to. And again, you're the right to. There's always the right to at one point, but can you in the right time? But can you be the right to all? Not even all the time, because even when you're the right to most of the time, sometimes it can be sucks. You know what I'm saying? I mean, sometimes you can't stand each other, but it's what you do with that to fix that part. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So and my thing is, somebody you just said something about numbers. I mean, the biggest number is, I mean, and this is no slight to the children, but it's the child support that gets me because we're like in the sense of being unemployed during COVID, there's been no change by the government for that. And all I'm doing is falling behind on that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So what do you do? Right.
Yeah. And that's the hard part of it is, you know, they need to look at everything from the whole perspective. You know, I mean, it's a domino effect and, you know, I mean, sure, you know, we want to be able to support, but you know, there's also other things that are going on. So I want to go back to, it was a blustery day. Then Winnie, Tigger, Kanga, Eeyore, and Roo came along. What's the journey been like with the dogs? How do they fit in the family? Like, walk us through some of their personalities.
Well, let's see. Basically, it started with Tigger, who I was working at a show. I was a professional mattress, hot tub, and massage chair salesperson for a company for a long time, and I was on the road selling them at fairs and home shows. And I happened to be in Chico, California, at a show, and it was the St. Pity's Day special they had going.
Dogs were only $17.
Yeah, $17 adoption fee, believe it or not. How wonderful does that sound, right?
Wow.
Little did we know that there was all kinds of other medical fees that would come along later that would make it all worth it. And still do. But Tigger was the first, and
he texted me a picture and said, "I'm bringing this dog home." And I said, "Don't you dare." And lo and behold, the next day he came home and had a dog with him.
Yeah. And then the dog decided to bust out of the cage. We had gotten it on a whim and break the window trying to get out. Like, there was a whole thing where he didn't really want. We didn't know what was going to work out for a couple of seconds. And then we didn't even have a name for him for 3 days because it wasn't like it was automatically Tigger. Like, there was
the name he came with was Ridley.
Ridley, like, yeah, I don't, and
it just didn't roll off the tongue.
No,
Ridley.
And we needed a name for a pit bull type dog that's far as away from vicious or whatever as possible. So we landed on Tigger.
Yeah.
And so then the next one was Rue. Allison. A few months later, I was on the road, and she was like, "Guess what? We got another dog."
I figured if he brought a dog home without my permission, I had the same rights.
Yes.
50-50 partnership.
So you just keep matching. Say, okay, I'm going to bring one home. Next week, I'm bringing one home.
Yeah.
So Rue comes home. So then 6 months later, I had injured myself. You talk about a turning point. And again, one thing you'll know about me, Eric, as we fly through this, I can tie shoelaces together to old stories, and I'll grab back to one, and it'll all come out into a nice, pretty messed up bow. But I was injured on the road working for that company. I was in Seattle, the worst town I've ever been to.
Yeah.
And I broke my hand in a very weird circumstance that I won't even go through. But that was a seminal moment where my career changed completely, because what I was very happy doing came to an abrupt end for over a year. And when I returned, it was never the same in any way, shape, or form. So that was the moment, February of 2017, where it all went downhill as far as my professional life went. But February is a bad month for me overall, but there's a reason for that, because it's my birth month. We can get to that later. But I always say it, I hate February.
I know.
But what happens is we got Kanga in March.
Well, we were bored one day, and I was like, "Let's go to the zoo."
6 months later.
And he's like, "Nah." I'm like, "Okay, let's go to a park." "Nah." Let's go look at dogs. Okay. So, I mean, we can say we didn't go with the intention of getting a dog, but I don't think you go look at dogs.
Right.
We found Kanga. She didn't bark at all, which...
That's what it was. We were in the kennel, and all these dogs were barking and stuff, and she didn't bark. And I was like,
she looked like.
Yeah, and she kind of did. And I'm like, that's the one. And we got her, and now she barks the most of them all, believe it or not.
We had the 3 for...
a long time.
Over a year and a half.
Yes. And then we got to a sad point. Again, another seminal moment, another life-changing moment. Allison's mother was not doing well. She had had a long battle with a terminal illness.
My mom, fought ovarian cancer for 5 years.
Yes. And then, and when she passed away, it was a rough time, and it still is a rough time. It never goes away from being rough. But in saying that, at that point in time, we decided that another member of the family, came in to complete the package. So I'm at work, and guess what rolls up?
Well, no, but you're missing part of the story. So he started looking at dogs, and he sees this gray brindle puppy that's the puppy of the week on the news. And he says, "I want this dog. We're going to call him Eeyore." I said, "Okay, make the call, see what we can do about getting him." And he had already been adopted out. So we weren't able to get him. But that set me off on looking, at dogs. And one of my mom's friends had shared these glam shots of what would later become Winnie, where she had this pink feather boa, and she was just darling. And so I went and visited her on my lunch break one day and paid her adoption fee and said, "Can you hold her for 4 more hours?" And then went back and picked her up and took her by his work.
There she was. And it took her a while to get used to me. She was definitely not a man person.
Terrified of guys.
And it took me a long. I mean, I called her one day. I'm like, "Come get this dog," because it just wasn't listening to me. And it turned out that she's whenever she sleeps with me at night, right by my face.
Okay, but she is my dog.
She's her dog, but at night she's my cuddle buddy. She's my thunder buddy.
She's the sweetest. I always say that my mom helped pick her out and sent her when we needed her, because she's very much Kanga and Rue are very, they just love everybody. Tigger is very much John's dog, and Winnie is very much my baby.
Right. So then you flash forward 6 months. So this is June of 2019, right? 18.
June is when we got Winnie. That's why her middle name is June.
Yes, Winifred June.
Flash forward to January, and I'm scrolling Instagram, and I see this gray brindle puppy that is larger now, but he looks familiar, and he has the same name. So lo and behold, his adoption didn't work out. He was back up for adoption and desperately needing a family. And Eeyore came home because he was always meant for us. You know, and we said, we're done. We're done. That's 5 dogs. The sign's been made. We're done.
But then something happened.
A year and 2 months later.
But then 2020 happened is what it was. Because I'm going to tell you a story. I've told it before on the show, so it's no secret, but it's a little disturbing. So in the sense of weirdness. So if you're not prepared for it, just prepared
just tell the ending part.
Okay. The ending part is
we were looking at the car.
We were looking at my car, and underneath it, there was this animal that somehow an animal got it. It was a whole thing. But the bottom line is, in looking at what was going on under my car, this dog showed up on our front yard, and not
just any dog, a brindle pit mix female dog, like a hand-chosen dog.
And wouldn't go away. It was right up to us until like it had been here before. You know what I'm saying?
She was like, my family's in there.
Yeah.
I'm home, guys.
So we took her in. We're like, we'll bring her for a couple hours. Then it turned in. We put the notice out, the neighborhood app. Nobody claimed her.
Nobody ever came for
all
her.
This stuff. So now we have this dog, Rabbit, because we're keeping the theme, right? And
running out of names.
And now we're at 6 dogs and a partridge in a pear tree, literally. So that is literally the story of how they all got their names. And
they all have very different personalities.
Yeah.
Tigger's personality does not match him. He should be Eeyore, and Eeyore should be Tigger because he's very bouncy.
Yes. But that's how it works sometimes. You call a big guy tiny and a tiny guy big guy, you know?
Yeah. You still need Christopher Robin and, Piglet, right?
Right.
Owl.
All right. Well,
Woozle. I mean, we could go
the way
really
we
crazy.
substitute that though, Eric, is the way, like with Rue, for example, he makes pig noises, so we also call him Piglet.
Yeah.
Like, we double up the names because they don't know. I mean, literally, all they need to hear is the word food, and they think that's their name. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you, John. I know you've spent some time in the sauna, so I noticed that there's some tattoos. Tattoos sometimes have stories. And sometimes they're in sync with music concerts or just interesting stories in general. Is there some tattoos on you that have some meaning or some stories behind them you'd like to share?
Did you want to see my NSYNC one? Or
Very meaningful.
I think there was a Hello Kitty. Wasn't there a Hello Kitty one too?
Mm-hmm. Well, it starts on a long, dreary night of being in my. Gosh, I wasn't somebody who was like a tattoo guy or whatever. There was a point in time where I was like, ooh, people who get tattoos, what do they do that for? I mean, I've changed my mind on lots of stuff over time. I'm wishy-washier than a Red Sox fan, right? But what happens is, it was literally in this house. I was a Christmas gift given to me by my mom, because I was mentioned I wanted a Kiss tattoo. I'm an idiot. I was 21 years old, 22. I don't know. I had kids and a wife at that point still. I wasn't a young buck, but we went here in Fresno to a place that, isn't there anymore. But my first tattoo was the Kiss logo itself. It was the classic Alive 2 Kiss logo. I can't pull this thing up. I should have worn a short sleeve. I didn't plan on this part, but it's still, you can still see the colors are still good all these years later on that. It's got red, yellow in it. They faded per se because I never took care of them like you should take care of a tattoo. But that was the first one I got. And then here's the weird story about that one though. So, gosh, another year goes by. We came back to visit. And I got the same guy a year later here in Fresno to do this Gene Simmons tattoo, okay? Now, I'm going to be fairly honest with all of you. There's a million other Kiss tattoos that destroy these Kiss tattoos. I have Kiss tattoos that some have called cartoon artwork.
It was me, guys. It was me.
And the way I cover it up is I'm like, well, I intentionally went for the Marvel Comics look. You know what I'm saying? And that's just kind of a way to save some bad artwork and some bad cover-ups on the stuff itself. But What I can say about it is so this guy did this tattoo, and this is actually based off the Psycho Circus gene. There's different. This is based off an actual gene from '98. So after that, I ended up living in Massachusetts, and we were living there, and I was getting Paul Stanley, I was getting Peter Criss, I got Ace Frehley, and no. So I got Paul Stanley in Massachusetts, and I got Ace Frehley there too. But what happened was I came back here to Fresno, and my last guy to get was Peter Criss, because who wants to be Peter Criss? And I went to a guy here in town. I'm like, hey, can you do a Kiss tattoo, kind of like this one? He's like, oh yeah, because it was the same guy who did it 10 years earlier that ended up doing the Peter Criss. I mean, through thousands of miles and 10 years later, I found, without even trying to, the same guy to do the tattoo. And it looks just as bad. So it all works out. But the best part about all my tattoos, as far as Kiss is related, and the people who ask, they're like, what's that one right there? That's the Kiss Chikara logo that they debuted on their Hotter Than Hell. Hotter Than Hell. They debuted that on their Hotter Than Hell album in '74, and it's been on lots of their stuff since. And it means power. And you can see lots of athletes and all kinds of stuff have this tattoo. But that Ace Frehley right there is an actual signature from Ace. He signed it for me, and I had the signature tattooed in.
Nice.
Yeah, and then we move on, from music to like Y&T.
That's still music.
Well, yeah, other music. There's A&J for Allie and myself to match. I like symmetry as crazy as I am.
So it's the Y&T logo, but then also with our name.
It looks like wings on a plane, right? And then my other love for music is Sammy Hagar, if you're familiar with him.
I'm gonna show this.
Yeah, I'm going to bring out the Cabo Wabo. So yeah, talk about passion, right? For tequila that nobody drinks anymore. But yeah, and I thought about you because you live near South Lake Tahoe, right?
Yeah, I'm in South Lake Tahoe. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to Sammy Hagar Cinco de Tahoe stuff for like 5 years straight. What a blast! The talk about seminal moments. Every summer, every Cinco de Mayo in Tahoe at the Mont Bleu and stuff was some of the best times ever as far as concerts were concerned for me.
Yeah, Mont Bleu. Yeah, they've had some really good stuff. Definitely. The one thing I wanted to ask you, and I was looking for where I actually put that question, but I do remember. Can you kind of dive in? So you also had I believe a Star Child pop, and there was a story about not getting an autograph, or somebody was made you cry.
And and what I can tell you is it's a true story, all of it. And if you'd like to hear it, I can have them tell it to you. But you'll have to send a COD stamp to Kiss Army in order to pay us for the rights to this story, because we're in lawsuit litigations over something like this at this point.
What happened there? Is this the one? I mean, I hope it's probably not. Oh, it is. Okay, so this works. Okay, so what happened was this, and if you ever want to hear the cautionary tale of not meeting your heroes, and to be fair, there's tons and tons of stories of meeting your heroes, and they all work out wonderfully. This one didn't, so that's just the way it goes. But I was invited to San Francisco for a Paul Stanley book signing, where he was going to speak at the Jewish Community Center up there in San Francisco. And he was going to be interviewed by a rock critic in front of a bunch of fans. And then at some point, you were going to have a book signing and a chance to meet Paul, okay? You had to buy tickets to this event, which were like $45 a piece, or the prices varied on the tickets, we came to find out. And that entitled you to a seat in the audience and a chance to meet Paul and a chance to get the book signed, okay? You get a copy of the book. So we arrived. My friend, who at the time, he couldn't go. I was supposed to go with somebody, he could not make it. So I had to fly solos to the event, and we got somebody else to sub in. So I met this person up there, and we went and we're in line up there and hanging out. And the whole time we're in line, there's a guy behind me with like this Paul Stanley guitar, this custom guitar that he carved out of, the woods of Rangoon or something, And he was just talking about how he's going to Paul sign the guitar and all this stuff, and how he was going to give it to his 3-year-old daughter. And she was going to remember him down the line and all this stuff. I'm like, all right, whatever. So they give us the books. They give us the books while we're standing in line prior to this Q&A, right? And I opened the book, and I had found that the book was already signed. Okay. So my first question was, well, like, what's Paul going to sign when I meet him? Like my name, you know, or whatever. Right. So we go in and he sits down and he has this interview with this rock critic, and somebody had given me the heads up that, you know, if you want to beat the crowd, go outside, you know, about 10 minutes to Paul being done. So I go out and I'm like fifth in line behind a couple of different people and all this stuff. And they're all holding merchandise to be signed. Mind you, right before Paul was going to do this interview, they announced that Paul Stanley won't be signing any merchandise tonight. He'll just be signing the book. But the book was already signed. So I go out and I figured, well, my arms aren't merchandise, you know, and it's a tattoo.
Yeah, like you can't sell that. You're not gonna, you know.
Yeah. So I figured I got a fighting chance. So of all the people that stand behind me in line, though, is the guy with the custom-made guitar. And he's going on and on now about how he has a debilitating disease. Now he's going to pass away from it, and how he's going to give this guitar to his daughter, and she's going to remember him by. And all the same stuff I heard 2 hours before, I'm hearing again. Only this time it's more amplified. And this guitar is driving me crazy at this point. And they've already told you they're not going to sign anything, right? So the first person goes and hands Paul something, and he politely declines and can't sign it, but he'll take a picture with you. So you get a photo with Paul. Okay. So the time it takes to get this photo lined up, he could have signed something. Okay. But no, he doesn't sign this person's thing. They walk off. Somebody else walks up. He does the same thing. And he politely declines the solo album, and the person takes the picture and leaves. 2 more people, boom. Then it's my turn. And I walk up. I have a tank top on, you know, and I got the Sharpie ready to go. And I'm like, Paul, can you please sign my, and he's like, sorry, I can't. And I'm like, why? And he's like, they won't let me. And I'm like, who's they? And he's like, yeah, he's like, you know, the promoters of the event. And I'm like, what are they going to do? Fire you? Right. And
take away your guitar, your drum.
Yeah, you know. So then he goes. So like, there's this awkward. And again, this sounds like it's taking 20 minutes, but it's literally 15 seconds. You know what I'm saying? And I said, come on, Paul, please. And he gives me the most famous, ridiculous words you could ever give a man who's seen you 41 times in concert. He goes, catch me on tour. And do you know what that means?
Yeah.
It means you're going to pay the meet and greet fee of $1,000 or more in order to see me backstage, so I can maybe sign it for you then. Maybe. And that $1,000 doesn't even include a ticket to the show, right?
No, which is insane.
So I said, well, hey, I've seen you, 40 times at that point. I'm like, can I get a discount, right, on a ticket, right? And he just kind of looked at me, and I kind of looked at him, and there's a picture of him and I together where I'm smiling. I'm happy to be there. It's definitely not the one I have with Ace Frehley after he's just signed my arm, and we're like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's a different vibe with Paul than it is with the other Paul, because they're both named Paul, if you didn't know that. But and that's why that episode is called A Tale of Two Pauls, because in the end, that episode that we did where I explained that whole thing, it's a comparison of Paul Stanley and Ace Frehley being 2 different types of people in one place. You know what I'm saying? And how we're all in one place. It's almost an analogy for the community at large, or any community you're in. You're all in one place. You're all just different people. So you ought to just all get along.
Well,
I'll sign my arm.
I think there is some stuff out there that indicates that you were part of the band. And I know if you don't want to talk about that, I understand. But I do have proof of you actually being part of that, and definitely on one of the albums. I definitely have some information that shows.
That's my favorite.
You know what made me leave the the third one's my favorite. I like
that be our new logo.
I want to frame that in the house. But the thing is with that, the follow-up in the end of that story where I take the picture with Paul, and this is where I decided I was going to leave Kiss for a little while, even though I never did, because once they're tattooed on you, you're stuck. But the guy behind me with the guitar, right? He goes up and he starts crying to Paul. He's crying, physically crying that he's not going to make it in life, or whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And Paul literally told him no once, but then the guy somehow, some way got Paul to scribble his signature on that custom-made guitar. And I leaned over and I said, hey, I'm suffering from ink poisoning over here. Can I get a scribble too? And then I went down to my car and I cried.
Well, I was at a Dodger game. This is when I was younger, and I was my family was a Dodger fan before he became a Giants fan. And I cried, and I was able to get one of the baseball players, Steve Sachs, to tell the security guard to get me my glove, and I got a signature. So crying sometimes, might work. Maybe next time you just break down crying right from the beginning.
I was crying. I literally cried. I went and cried in my car. I cried like a child. I'm like, I can't believe this guy did this. And no way am I crying in front of Paul Stanley. No way. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'll cry in joy. Well, I lie because I cry in joy when I'm like up front with those guys at a show. I mean, I'm like, I love you, Paul. Oh my God.
I have the funniest clip. We saw Kiss. It's the only time I've seen them, but it was in February 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And we ended up, it's a whole story of how we ended up there, but I had a friend with me and he ended up in like the second row or something.
Yeah.
But anyways, the next day we were watching, people had posted YouTube videos, of them doing their set and stuff. And I picked John out
clearly
in the front, like clear as day. I have a clip where he's circled in it and he is shaking his hips and doing the hair toss and just living his best life.
Just Paul Stanley and out right in front of Paul. Because Paul could tell me no and Paul could tell me, take that tattoo off your arm right now. And I'd be like, all right. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm good. All right. That's cool.
So you guys know each other pretty well. You guys have been, like a great team from what I've seen. And I just kind of wanted to quiz you on something on how you guys remember things. I know as we get older, sometimes we have a tendency to forget.
Well, he can hide some Easter eggs.
I have a question for you, Allison.
Okay.
What is JLH's traumatic childhood experience?
Oh God.
Oh, where do we even begin?
Can
the answer just be his entire childhood?
Yeah. Do you want the comedic or the serious one? Like,
was there an amusement park?
Oh, if we're talking about the cotton candy story at Great America, where, yeah, I guess that was that is a traumatizing but funny event.
Yeah, that was that, and that's when I okay. So here's the thing, and I don't know how many of you out there have parents like this or whatever, but they'll say they weren't there then. They'll they'll act like you're making it up in some senses and fashions, or that's just not the way they remember it, and that's fine. I mean, 40 years pass. I mean, the memories are going to shift and drift, but if I can remember clearly, like, this blue cotton candy and this moment on this water slide and all this stuff, like, I'd like to think that for all the things I forget, there's just some things that stick, like cotton candy does to you, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I just remember this vividly. And my dad warned me, take it down, put it down. I'm going to be fine. And then, no, it was gone by the end of the ride. But, and it was like, if I had just listened, and again, it's a classic tale. If you listen before, it's the more you know before, the less you'll complain after, right? But I mean, I just know that if something sticks with me at the age of, I think that was like maybe 8 or 24, I'm not sure, but one of those, two things, if it stuck with you that long, there's some merit to it. So don't ever let anybody out there tell you that the weird things you hang on to as a kid that messed you up don't have some kind of truth to them, because even if you see it as a kid experience differently, there's something to it there, and there just is. Trust me.
So, for you, Mr. JLH, I got a question for you. What is Allison's favorite scent and flavor? Do you remember? I'll give you a hint. You just got done talking about it.
Cotton candy. Yeah, no, I was just trying to think of which one, because she likes weird ones like dragon's blood flavor.
But that's something from Dutch Bros.
No, those cotton, when you pour the ice, there's flavors that she pours. There's
for snow cones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Snow cones are her thing more than cotton candy.
That's true. But I like cotton candy syrup on my snow cone.
She likes stuff that I would eat all the time. Like, I mean, Coke floats, right? During the summer, there's seasonal beverages though. During the summer, it's Coke floats and snow cones. And then we get into cotton candy type stuff, or the See's candies.
Oh yeah.
During the
fall
and
Bordeaux
winter.
That See's candy.
Can't go wrong with See's candies. Huell Hauser does a great episode about See's candies.
And just so you know, I reached out to Huelhauser on Instagram, but he did not respond to me. I was trying to get him to get some kind of response, but he didn't do it.
We'll have to get him from beyond the grave because he died about 20 years ago.
I looked at it and I said, "Oh, this is in August." I said, "But hey, I get an A for effort, you know."
Hey, 100%. You did more by knowing who Huelhauser is than most people. And yeah, that's saying something, you know. But yeah, there's a great line I do on my show at one point where I'm comparing Bob Ross to Huelhauser, and something happens where I say that they died within a relatively short amount of time within each other or something.
Like it hit one after the other, and they died like 18.
Yeah, like there was an 18-year gap between Bob Ross and Huelhauser. So my math is never good. That's also something I can tell you that was traumatic for my childhood. I was terrible in school. So yeah.
So John, you have passion, excitement, energy, creativity, and enjoyment in what you do. But is there a B-side? Is there excessive perfectionism, a harsh inner critic, or maybe an emotional turmoil? Can you share a little bit of maybe some of the struggles that may have come about, through this year on your journey with, YouTube?
Well, again, I mean, there's so much in the sense of, I guess this is probably where I'm going to have this famous shoot promo about myself, and then tomorrow I'll get world famous by tomorrow off this interview with Eric, right? Oh, and then I'll get hit by a bus, and then all of the fame will go for naught, but you'll get all the residuals.
Yeah, and yes, I'll investigate.
You'll get the YouTube. We'll finally get that 4,000th hour. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The inner struggle is me, because I'm my own worst everything, not critic, but I'm my own worst enemy. I'm my own worst.
You are your own worst critic, but I'm more than that.
And it's for no lack of presenting this, oh, what a confident guy, what are this, what are that, because the people that put out the most confident airs will always be the ones that have the most inner struggles with dealing with themselves, as far as, is that good enough, is that this enough? And Allison, she said something just literally a couple of weeks ago that made me realize that it's something I found out to, but you're like, I get this fake trophy for this fake moment. You know what I'm saying? And it's like this, and when I get mad at anything.
I think he got, somebody had thumbs down a video or something, and it was like, oh no, this fake,
this fake thumb thumbs down to you, right?
Thumbs down, and now it's gonna affect the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
Get over it.
But the inner turmoil comes from it's the mental prison you live in with all the mistakes you made in the past. And again, there's a lot of ways you can go down that road of, well, if you hadn't made those mistakes, you wouldn't have gotten to the promised land you got to, right? And there's tons of merit to that. But and there's no way in me saying, well, I wish I hadn't made those mistakes to get to that promised land, right? Because you got to go through what you get through to get where you're going to go, right? Yeah. But you sometimes wish that you had made better choices and maybe still gone that same road, no matter which way it would have gone. Maybe you should have said yes versus no to something, even though because it wouldn't have mattered anyway. You were going to go, you were going to break up or make up or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But it just comes down to where, and it goes back to where, again, the only child thing for me was a big part of it. I think that lasts with it, because I hang on to anger with my father and stuff, mainly, over stuff that, what are you going to be mad about? You know what I'm saying? But it's like, but it just sticks with you or whatever. And and when present day things come up that remind you of past day things, what do you do? Right. It just drives you even more insane. So, for me, the thing that torments me is me, in the sense of, not even so much what people are going to think or whatever, but it's like, would I enjoy this? Do I want to watch this? I know that my videos are long, right? But if you watch my videos and you have a short attention span, it's okay, because I don't spend a lot of time on one thing. And I'm constantly moving. And you ask about creativity, I'm probably the least creative person I know. Half this stuff is made up on the spot when I do the show, or I'll think about things. I have visions of things. I have visions of jokes that I wanted to tell years and years ago that I finally told on this show, because I had a platform to do it. and where I was terrible at doing it on stage. And there is stand-up comedy clips out there on YouTube. You can go find me. I don't encourage you to go watch because it's bad, but you can see that I've gone through lots of different levels and stages of trying to entertain people in different ways that you at least got to give me credit for that, right?
But you don't give yourself credit for that. The thing.
And that's the thing. I don't give myself a lot of, I don't know. And I don't know what I don't give myself a lot of. I guess love.
I try to remind him when he's being down on himself that he's talking poorly about somebody that I love, and that's not okay.
Right. But when there you go. See. But when you to give you an example, I mean, I left home not by choice per se, but again by bad choices at 18, and was on a forced move to Massachusetts and lived with family that I didn't know in any way, shape, or form. Literally, I'd see him once a year on a visit or whatever. But, I'd live in my grandmother's house with these uncles that were much older and just much different and everything. And it led down a bad path for me as far as having tried. Yeah, I tried drugs. Yeah, I did this. Yeah, I did pretty much probably a lot of stuff that you shouldn't do. But that's the best part about me compared to like some people that I know within my closest family. They'll tell you that they were never there. They were never, ever part of it. They never saw it. They could never acknowledge it. But that's the one thing I swear to myself, and even to give you a deep dive into me where I don't have the greatest relationship with my kids, like I don't have the greatest relationship with my father. My sons, and it's like I'll always wish my sons a happy birthday, even if we're not speaking. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it just comes down to where what am I saying there? It's just my demons are me, where I wish I was a better father. I'll give you that much, right?
He very much lives in his own head.
I went, like I said, it was a matter of, here's one that'll mess you up too. Seminal moment. Here's a seminal moment for you. Here's God, this is like Bob or Walters here. Are you gonna cry? No, I've been doing that already. The gastric bypass surgery I had in 2000. That may have fixed me physically, but it messed me up mentally because I was a much nicer person, I guess, when I was 402 pounds versus being socially acceptable at 220 or whatever it was. You know what I'm saying? I spent years and years and years being bullied because of my weight. My full name is Jonathan, but the joke you talk about jokes I developed and still use to this day as a defense mechanism. Kids called me Jonathan because I wasn't Jonathan. Get it? And here's the funniest part about that. People will laugh at that when I say it because it's a natural reaction to laugh at that. But just think when you're that they're laughing at.
Now the gastric bypass, I went through that myself. I was, I made a choice, obviously, we can't control certain things and life just goes in a different direction. But I made a choice, because of my boys, to create that, better life. And I'm curious because, I mean, how you mentioned, to hear a little bit more about how it kind of created, yes, because I was jolly and fun at the weight that I was, but I also felt once I got down to, a skinny side of me at 185, 190, it was nice to walk into a store and actually buy a medium shirt or a large shirt that was on clearance and say, yeah, I can have this. But it just meant also more of a health to push ahead for my boys. What was the reasoning behind for you as far as like what motivated you? How did that turn everything into it that you're talking about? Because I'm trying to put myself in that sense emotionally, how it affected me. So I would love to hear that. What's that?
When did you have yours done?
Mine was probably I think 2009, 2008.
Okay, I had mine. I had mine in 2000. Yeah. February of 2000.
So you were 25.
Yes, 402 pounds at 25 years old. And again, having dealt with weight issues all my life because it runs on my dad's side of the family, overweight, obesity type things. My dad, and here's something for you. My dad had the surgery done. My mom had the surgery. My aunt had. There was enough people in my surgery that we had a discount dinner at Thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying? Nobody was eating, but because they just throw it up, right? You familiar with that part?
Yes.
But I had the surgery again for the idea and the thought that I would be a better more active father, which again, that's all mental stuff. If you're not that good at it in the beginning, being skinnier ain't going to help you get better at it. I mean, that's just my opinion per se. Because what it did for me was it led me down a path of being not a good father or husband for years and years and years and years. And I openly will admit that. I got nothing to hide there. But the thing is, it can either do the right thing for you, but also what it will do if it'll ruin relationships. Or example, like you married that person for that person, not for them to become somebody else, and that changes you into somebody else physically and mentally. And here's something: I hang on to clothes still from that time that are double. I still buy double X for the fear that I'm going to go back to 402, because I think what happened with me with that surgery, Eric, was it amplified some mental narcissistic part of my brain that really was, it's never done me any good when that became a part of it. JLH didn't exist until that stupid surgery.
Well, you know, I mean, obviously, you know, and I look back and I say, okay, you know, it was a choice I made. You know, I would love to still be at the weight that I eventually dropped down to, but you know, with COVID and stuff, but you know, I've had more weight go back on me, and yeah, and I have a fear of that too, of climbing back up. And you know, and I try to look back and say, okay, well, the things that I was able to do, like obviously eat smaller portions, and obviously, yeah, even today, there's some things I can't eat fully, like a, you know, steak or even sometimes a hamburger without it affecting my, you know, digestive system. And, you know, so it makes it a little tough, but at the same time, I look at the horizon and say, okay, I am a father. I'm a single dad raising my boys, and I want to be here for them. And I want to make sure that, you know, I'm there for that part of that journey. And that's one of the reasons why I did elect to do that. You know, I was happy at the weight I was at, you know, but at the same time, for health reasons, it just seemed the right way to go.
Yeah, 100% agreed. I mean, and believe me, there's parts of me that love being, you know, at a lower weight and all of that stuff. But again, the part that didn't help me was me, because I didn't. I
don't think he was mentally prepared to go into it. I think back then, because like our good friend Jess just had, you know, a weight loss surgery year and some ago, and she had to go through quite a bit of like meetings and milestones to hit, and even like psychology type stuff to make sure that she was mentally prepared. And she still had some, you know, issues with it within herself, because like she said, she thought it was going to fix things for her too. And it's not a magic fix all. Like the issues in your life are, you know, still there.
Right. And you find too, I mean, I found with the surgery again, I found that life was, and again, not to dive into like some weird, like heated issue, but there's lots of people out there, because they're overweight, that get overlooked for things in many different capacities. But gosh, it's funny when you weigh 220 pounds or whatever, that, you know, you get a different kind of something from somebody, and it drives you absolutely batty that you just can't get a fair shake just being you, no matter who you are.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I do, absolutely. So we're going to take a little quick break and get into our next segment, guys. So let me go ahead.
Downer, I'm sorry. Is this like a downer episode? Like, no. Room down.
I have segments. So like, I obviously want to make sure that we cover into it. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. When I'm asking my questions, you know, I want to make sure that that's what it's here for. We're here to kind of, you know, get the gist of things. Like, that's to get to know you.
And there's so much, and again, there's so much more. Like, you're peeling off an onion here. You just those are just my Cliff's notes I always throw out there. Like, you got me thinking now, like, what other moments for me were like moments that were like, oh man, I shouldn't, that really sent me off into a point of why are we here, you know? And there's lots of them. Yes, to your next segment for sure.
And we definitely will get into that, but they do welcome you in Boston. I wanted to let you know, the fans in Boston, they definitely welcome, you know, with JLH. So the Red Sox do welcome you guys.
As a former water guy, as the former Poland Springs bottled water delivery man to Fenway Park, where Manny Ramirez once gave me $100 for a bottled water, but he gave me trouble for doing it. You want to know what he said?
What did he say?
He goes, he said, "Hey, can you give me a bottle of water?" And I said, "Hey, man, because I had gotten to know these guys in the locker room, putting the water in there. I go, hey, man, you make $430,000 per at bat. I'm like, you can pay for it, right?" He goes, "Here," and he gives me $100. Nah, the Big Papi. I love it. He's one of my favorite players ever.
Okay, so I'm going to go to we're going to take a commercial break, guys, real quick. So let me go ahead and get that commercial going for you guys. All right, so we also, like I said, I get into a little bit of personal, but I also know you have some fandoms that a lot of people really enjoy. I know you're into The Rock, and I know that you were on tour or you're thinking about going on tour, and I wanted to let the people here know first, you know, so JLH is going to go on tour. I'm going to give you a little promo of that right now. So yes, guys, that's going to be the KISS 2020 Goodbye Tour. So he's going to be filling out the stands next year. So make sure you guys pay attention for that.
Followed by the Kiss in Space tour coming up.
So I wanted to get into the music side of it. I know music is very important, you know, to your soul. It's something that has, you know, obviously personified into a lot of your videos. So what do you like to do outside of music that contributes to your musicality? You know, how has music, passion, and a love for music kind of rejuvenated your creativity through, you know, YouTube?
Well, again, it all ties back to my love for radio broadcasting, going back to that. Again, well, like I said, tying laces together from First Stories. But the radio broadcasting part for me, where it became, over the past few years, people have said to me, you should do a podcast. You know, I've had suggestions about a podcast or whatever, but I don't have the technical proficiencies. I always lack the technical proficiency. I'm like the Heart Foundation. I may be the tank, but I need the technician. I'm the anvil. She's the hitman, right? I didn't have the hitman.
Ooh,
right? Yes. I didn't have Bret Hart. There
Yes.
it is, right? He's like Fred Norris on Howard Stern. This is great, the way he has the plugs.
Hart.
And Howard Stern, I mean, that's another guy who inspired me in lots of different
For
ways
sure.
before he sold out to Sirius and got once an awful thing. But public radio, Howard Stern was who I liked. But yeah, so it came down to my creativity with music. Music is music's been something that I've enjoyed throughout my entire life, and it goes back to offbeat types of music, though, where it was layered within, like the Dean and Don show, where you would hear offbeats from like Dr. Demento. Comedic music was one of my first thrusts of music I enjoyed. Dr. Demento, which was the, you know, gave you the option. Do you remember him, Dr. Demento?
Yeah, Dr. Demento, yeah.
Right. And so like Weird Al Yankovic came out of him, and I really enjoyed Weird Al Yankovic as a kid. And comedy and music, basically. My dad, you know, I was listening to Bill Cosby, you know, himself, that type of stuff. Cheech and Chong, as like a 5-year-old, listening to Cheech and Chong and quoting Cheech and Chong. I mean, comedy and music were things that were always in my family. Even though my dad's taste in music, there's a great line in the movie A Mighty Wind, where a guy goes, "Well, I was abused as a child, mostly musically in nature." And you know, when you're hearing Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass on blast, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how I fell into KISS or whatever and all this stuff, but I know like my first cassette tape ever that I listened to fully on a Walkman was Quiet Riot. I mean, Bang Your Head. I mean,
Come On, Feel the Noise.
Yeah, Come On, Feel the Noise. Like that was my first audio cassette I ever had, that I would had it on a Walkman and played loudly, and here in in the back of, you know, a station wagon with your parents saying, "Turn it down," right? And I mean, that's what I had. And so and my musical tastes run the gamut. I mean, I love rap. That was funny looking at the Spotify top 10. You'd think that, well, this guy, you know, likes Neil Diamond, which I do. You know, everywhere around the world, we're coming to America. But the thing is, I like it all, because you have to like it all in order to chase the record business as far as being a radio DJ and stuff. You can't just tie yourself to one genre. And you know, I mean, it don't matter what color you are or whatever. If you can be a white guy that gets a job at a rap station because you know rap, all more power to you. You know what I'm saying? Know your product and you'll get a job, hopefully. Are
you a rhythm and melody type of guy, or do you listen to the lyrics, or do you listen to both? I mean, when music sends something your way, you know, I mean, there's some people that, you know, obviously, you know, they just like the beat, they like how things are going. But do you really, you know, I mean, you have those songs that really have some great, powerful lyrics.
I'm a hook guy. I'll take the melodic hook that ropes me in, and if the lyrics are good, it's an added bonus. And if they're bad and the hook's good enough, I'll stick in, because you'll learn the words anyway. You know what I'm saying? Some of the worst songs become your favorites because you hear them so much.
Well, how do you think the music has changed over the years?
Well, that ties right in with religion. because nothing's the same, because it's gotten too easy to make music, much like it's gotten too easy to make TV shows. I mean, what did I say the other day? It's not YouTube, it's TubeU or whatever, right? Vice versa, right? We all have the ability to make a TV show, and everybody's got the chance to make their own voice heard on some platform or whatever, right? And it's easy enough for some kid to grab a computer and put some beats together and become an overnight sensation, because he has the ability not only to string those beats together, but put them on a TikTok. And the next thing you know, he's doing some ridiculous dance on TikTok with those ridiculous fat beats that he's laying down. And next thing you know, he has 100 million comments, where I'm sitting here trying to come up with content with all this creativity in my brain with no electrical panel at my disposal to drop those fat beats. You know what I'm saying? Because it's gotten too easy to do. That's why it's all plastic magoo. And you get these great bands that lay out. You go run the gamut. Kiss has put out 3 great albums in the last 10 years, okay? But all of them get ignored and they're better than some of the records they put out when they were in their heyday. But all of them get ignored because that audience is gone, essentially. They've either gotten older, or they're gotten dead, right? And the thing is, the fans that are coming in to like Kiss now, the young kids are like, oh, my grandpa liked them. They're not going to have the same passion for that band, because they're not going to be able to go see them live for the first time in an arena again. Yeah, that clock's running out, right? So you don't get that first magical moment of seeing these guys on stage. And what was a terrible song you heard in your dad's car for 15 years, when you finally saw them live and you walked out of that show going, my mind is blown. Can we play Detroit Rock City so I can, now I get it, right? So it's like, that's what's changed, is the passion for the music. And anybody who says, no, I like Mouse, whatever, Beta Mouse or whatever his name is, great. Exactly. That's what it's going to be. All these current artists that come out, they come and go. It's so vanilla that flows through the pop scene. I don't remember none of these people. And the one band that I've pinned my hopes to as far as a rock band, Dirty Honey, I mean, when you can't tour and you can't put yourself out there at festivals and stuff, you're dead in the water. And your solid fan base can only do so much to get you fans.
And they have a solid fan base because of the fact that they don't sound like current music. They sound like 70s rock.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're very old school feel.
But in saying that, there was no rock category at the Grammys this year. There's no MTV playing videos for people. You and me, Eric, I guarantee you and me sat in front of MTV watching videos all day long at one point in our life. You know what I'm saying? And there's none of that anymore for kids to do, because there's too much other stuff for everybody to do. Yeah. And that's the problem, it's a wonderful thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for making life easy and taking the pressure off of me to do anything at all. But when you can just go out and become a star because you've got a drum machine, music just ain't the same.
Right. I agree. And it's, I remember, like I said, I grew up on, like my mom, the Stones, the Beatles, You know, I mean, obviously, you know, a little bit of Elvis Presley. I mean, there's a lot of influences, you know, country, a wide variety. You know, one of the things I do remember is the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band and the Beatles in 1978. Now, a part was offered to Kiss to play the villain band, but they turned it down. What would, you know, and it obviously went to Aerosmith. What are your thoughts into possibly pairing bands together? So if Kiss could play a concert with any other band to perform, you know, who would you like to see? Like, you get an opportunity, and I kind of hinted on it before, but you know, you have an opportunity to have Kiss there. They're going to play. You're going to be front and center. And who would you like to see them perform a concert with? And I know you mentioned some of the original and the newer ones, but let's put a different band together. You get all the members of Kiss are going to play, but you get another band with them.
I was trying to think of like what Gene Simmons would say. He'd be like, well, you know, what else would you need? But it'd be like, I've done this before where I've never thought of the other band though. Who would I want? The band I would want to, I mean, again, if you're talking all time, man, I guess we're never going to see this ever. I'm gonna shock you here because I've never seen this band live. I just never seen this band live, so they'd be a great opener for Kiss because it would all tie together. Because the song that plays before Kiss hits the stage is a song this band plays. So what would happen is I would want the Who to open for Kiss.
I knew that's where you were going.
And they close their show with "Won't Get Fooled Again," because what Kiss usually does during the show. Before the show starts, you're looking at the stage when you're in the arena, right? Have you ever seen Kiss?
Yeah.
Okay. So you remember back like on the 96 reunion tour, for example, they'd be playing the house music before Kiss came on, right? And they would play "Don't Get Fooled Again" by the Who. "Won't Get Fooled Again" by the Who. During the right, that ending part, the music would get progressively louder. You would hear it start to get progressively louder, right? And you'd be like, hey, there's something about to happen here. And right when that Roger Daltrey scream would hit, they'd crank that board to, 100 million gigawatts, right? And that Kiss scream would fall down. It would be like, yeah! And you're like, yeah! Right? And next thing you know, the house light, it would go, the song goes, dun, 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 right? The house lights would go out with that part. So all that would be left is the blue spotlights on the Kiss logo, and you're like, man, here we go, they're coming. Yeah.
Well, so they've had over 100 million albums. They've licensed 3,000 products. Which have you ever seen? Let me show you. Let's see if I have this in here. I want to see if this was in your household or not. Let me see if I can find it. I know I have it. At some point, or did I not put it in there? There is, I'm going to find that thing. So there was Hello Kitty toilet paper.
Yep.
Do you remember that?
I did not have it, but I did see it in Mexico when I was there. There was actually a Kiss. No, there's some kind of a store. There's a chain of stores in Mexico. We were in the one in, what's the one where you go and drink in Mexico? What's that town? What's the famous town? Tijuana. Yes. Tijuana. And we're in this store, and they have a whole Hello Kitty aisle of Kiss stuff, and it was the Kiss Kiss bean bag, all this stuff. And I did see the Kiss toilet paper there, and I just didn't buy any because I didn't want to deal with customs and all that stuff. But yes, I have seen that, but I did not have it. But I have had, I think, the most insane Kiss thing that I've probably ever had.
Can I say?
What do you think?
I think it's the bowling ball.
The bowling ball was an odd one.
We had a Kiss bowling ball. The holes weren't even drilled in it.
Yeah, I never drilled it.
We sold it on Mercari. Like, somebody wanted to buy that for their husband for their birthday.
Yeah.
And it was like a 12-pound ball, which was a nightmare to ship.
Yeah. I've had Gene Simmons' blood cup at one point in time. I mean, there's all kinds of weird stuff that I've had. Kiss confetti, I have loads of from shows. Like in my car, I saw there's some Kiss confetti still floating around from 3 years ago. Like it's just Kiss for me is it's bigger than a band or Gene Simmons will jokingly tell you it's a band or a brand or whatever. no matter how Paul Stanley can tell me no a million times for tattoos or whatever, but what it comes down to is Kiss is bigger than the guys in it. Kiss isn't. It's Paul once said it's a force. It's a lifestyle. It's a pack of dogs. It's whatever you want it to be. And they, they're just an easy thing to get into because their lyrics are easy. Their message is simple. And if you like 3-chord rock, they're a very easy band to get into like that. But when you deep dive into a story like them, and the story of Kiss is a success story like none other. There's none that can replicate it. And really, when you get down to it, Kiss is the only rock band that did more than just rock. Like AC/DC struck the straight heavy rock all the way through, right? Aerosmith did a little experimentation here and there. All these bands did some little crossing over here and there. Kiss did rock. Kiss did disco. Kiss did hair. Kiss did grunge. Kiss did reunions. Kiss did unplugged. Kiss did orchestras. Kiss did it all. And whether they were setting the trend or following the trend, poorly or wonderfully, name me I guess, and again, I hate to say name me another band because somebody will instantly say, well, this band or that band or that band. But the thing is, without Kiss, Motley a lot Crue. Of this band, that band, or that band aren't doing what they're doing, or they're not here at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously there's bands that stand the test of time and have been around. I mean, you got the Rolling Stones that continue to do stuff. I mean, a lot of people have made that impact. But take me back. Okay, there was they were one of the world's biggest groups for 10 years. They painted their faces, but there was a secret. In September 1983 on MTV, something happened. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was the Van Halen concert that aired at midnight. No, because that's what MTV cut to directly after the makeup was taken off. That was where Kiss took off their makeup with J.J. Jackson as the VJ. And to tell you the truth, that was a underwhelming moment in history, because who cares about Vinnie Vincent and Eric Carr taking the makeup off, right? Even though they had their own forms of makeup, that wasn't Ace and Peter. And by the time that makeup came off on September 10th, 1983, the band was well out of favor with the U.S. market at large. They hadn't had a hit record in the U.S. since '79, essentially. You know what I'm saying? And Lick It Up was the last gasp. Like, without that makeup coming off, those guys were working at McDonald's in September of '84. You know what I'm saying? Like, like they weren't doing Kiss without that makeup coming off, because that makeup was killing them. It was limiting them. And the best thing about it, though, was when you love something so much, because Kiss was, whether you people know it or not, Kiss was a very beloved band in the 70s. I mean, there was a big mystery around them. I was too young to really experience it, but I remember, what do they look like without the makeup? There was this whole thing. You didn't have the benefit of the internet to tell you what Eric looks like under the makeup, right? So what happens is this band ran its course, and now here we are in 2020, and this band's doing a show on New Year's Eve in Dubai, of all places, at $200 a pop to watch them on the internet. God bless you, because you're not getting any of my money. But I'll catch you on the TubeU replay, right? And speaking of money I've spent for that band, I mean, I've spent enormous amounts of dollars going places, being places, seeing them all the times I've seen them live. And the story I'll always tell about going insane to see them was Halloween night 1998. I was in Boston, Massachusetts at 6 a.m. I was in California at 2 p.m. after a 6-hour flight here. Saw Kiss at Dodger Stadium, your favorite baseball team. No, his family's favorite. At Dodger Stadium. Smashing Pumpkins opened for them. This is Halloween night 1998. Smashing Pumpkins dressed up as the Beatles, by the way. So there's your opening thing. The Beatles could open for Kiss too. Anyway, I saw them in front of 70,000 people at Dodger Stadium on Halloween night. Was back on a plane at 5 in the morning. I flew from LA to Boston and back in less than 12 hours to see the hottest band in the world, Kiss. Crazy. Don't ever do that.
Well, I heard rumors that they were tricked into taking their makeup off. I know that was something that had come out, that there was, a lot of scandal behind that, that they were tricked. But another thing that Kiss had tried to do at some point, and it kind of ties into your other fandom. In 1999, they negotiated with the World Championship Wrestling to endorse the Warriors of Kiss. But politics, Bryan Adams quitting the introductory role of the Kiss Demon, did not allow that to happen. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that would have been a great marriage if they were able to go through with something like that?
Well, I'll say this much. Gene Simmons and company made out like a bandit on that deal. I mean, talk about a financial stake in the heart of WCW at that point. That was one of the more unspoken ones as far as deals that really caved in the finances of WCW, because Kiss got a big fee to play live at the MGM Grand in August of '99. They introduced that wrestler, like you said, Bryan Adams. He left the company shortly after that, and they replaced him with Dale Torborg, who was the son of Jeff Torborg, who was an Atlanta Brave and stuff like that. And that demon gimmick, I mean, believe it or not, that demon gimmick ran for about a year or so. I mean, and they were going to introduce, like you said, Warriors of Kiss. There was a whole plan to introduce all of this stuff along the line. But WCW's, and they probably, to say it fairly, they probably would have stuck with that plan come hell or high water for the money they were spending, right? But the wheels were coming off the bus of that company with so much other stuff that, you know, it was a failure from the start because, A, who cared about Kiss at large in 1998, right? The reunion tour had happened, it had taken place. The Psycho Circus tour was a failure, and by all senses of the words, because here's the thing. As much as Kiss was a must-see act over and over again in the 70s or the 80s, again, this goes back to my speech or my TED Talk earlier about the proliferation of other stuff to do, right? Even by the late 90s or whatever, there's plenty of other stuff to do. You're not waiting for the next time for Kiss to come rolling around the whole town. You know what I'm saying? So there was just other stuff to do 20 years later that you weren't like, we got to go see Kiss at the MGM Grand and then go see the Kiss wrestler, you know? And by that point, you had Stone Cold Steve. Who are you going to go see? The Kiss wrestler or The Rock? And wait for the other three to show up when you got Stone Cold, Triple H, and DX already there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just kind of get into a little bit still with the Rock. What is your three? And I know it might be hard, it might be easy, but what's your three favorite Rock albums of all time?
All time albums. Well, based off the listenership of Spotify, two of them would come off of Kiss's Dress to Kill. So there's one. I guess based on numbers, there's a lot of good songs on that album. So for right now, we'll say Dress to Kill.
Okay, that's one.
Then we'll say, I've listened to it a ton, Y&T Live
at the Mystic.
At the Mystic is one of my favorite albums of all time.
That
I mean, I just
great.
love that album. I mean, yeah, love that album. Y&T Live at the Mystic. And then
them Live at the Mystic.
I mean, I've listened to this thing enough in the last 2 years to know I got a license plate made of it. The Dirty Honey album.
Yeah.
You know? I mean,
there's a lot of great albums that influence you and music just in general, and you can tell your passion and love for that, and that's why, you know, I'm
your children.
I'm painted today, just kind of give a little bit of tribute. But now I want to kind of match your guys' wits a little bit. Now I know Allison's a Friends fan, but before I finish that, I wanted to give a fact, and just so everybody knows, Katie Seagal for Peggy Bundy, Sons of Anarchy, she played Gemma. She was discovered by Gene Simmons, and she sang backup for Bob Dylan, Bette Midler, and Molly Hatchet before her TV fame. So that's a fun fact right there. Kiss, like I said, had partnered with Hello Kitty in 2012 to have products such as a toilet paper. But we also wanted to know, and this is a question you might be able to ask, how much fish could Bobby Fish fry if Bobby Fish could fry fish?
Isn't that a great shirt? That shirt is legendary because it appeared on episode 1 and 100 of the show.
That's right. It was a nice, kind of wrap up to that series.
Yeah.
And I love Bobby Fish. We had, I know recently we shared that Fairfish passed tragically, but prior to that, Bobby Fish, our Bobby
Passed
Fish,
away, yeah.
passed tragically as well.
Tragically.
But I love me some Bobby Fish, and I think Bobby Fish could fry all kinds of fish.
I was in Florida last year
Oh.
for all the wrong reasons. Like I thought I was I thought I had a future ahead of me, and it turned out to be a dead end. But I got to go to an NXT show or two while I was back there last January, and I ran in as I was coming out of one door. He was coming in another. I literally ran right into Bobby Fish and was able to take a picture with him, and told him my wife would kill me because she loves him and stuff. And yeah, so that was a moment where I got to meet Bobby Fish right there at a little armory in Largo, Florida.
Okay. Well, yeah, like I said, I wanted to tie some of that in with the little fun facts. But the fact is now you guys are going to have a little bit of face-off here. Okay. So let me go ahead and we're going to take another commercial break here real quick, guys. So let's do this real quick. And we're going to have a little face-off with JLH and Miss JLH. So let's get that going.
Love it.
Love that.
Yeah.
So what we have is joinmyquiz.com.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this up real quick for you. It's going to be actually for Miss. We'll go JLH. You're going to go first. And let me go ahead and make sure I have this on my computer. But in the meantime, can you kind of give me an idea, like who's your favorite female singer of all time?
Mine?
Yeah. Both of you guys, if you want to. You're able to. Do you have a
favorite female singer?
That's a hard one. If you go off my Spotify for the last 3 years, it would tell you Halsey, and he would tell you he doesn't know who Halsey is. So I'll stick with that as mine.
I'm gonna say, am I in the right thing here?
So you're gonna go to joinmyquiz.com. So let me go ahead and do this here real quick.
There.
I'm gonna give you the.
Who's gonna give you the?
My favorite female singer of all time.
Why are you tapping?
Because I'm really trying to think. Again, it's hard. It's who do I like? Who pleases me when I hear her?
Joan Jett.
I do like Joan Jett. I wouldn't say she's my favorite.
Heart.
No. Gosh, man, that's a good question, bro. Nobody's ever asked me that.
We'll have to get back to you.
Cyndi Lauper up there.
Yeah.
Cyndi Lauper.
I like Cyndi Lauper. Cyndi Lauper. Yeah. I would put her in a top slot for right now, just to hold a spot. Yeah, that works for now.
Is this on? Okay. So here, okay, so quiz.com. Okay, so Mr. JLH, this is going to be chat, just so you know, this is for JLH. If you like to enter, that's fine. But this is basically, so joinmyquiz.com. That's the code right there, 007068. Okay.
Actually, you know what the 007 of the first 3 digits of? Do you know what that is?
Was that the, can't think. Was that the Teenage Mutant? Not the. What was that? I'm trying to think.
Code for something.
Yeah, you gave the code for the Mike Tyson.
That's right. Good memory. 007-373-5963. That's the code to Mike Tyson on Nintendo.
So generally, this is going to be a wrestling quiz. Okay, and there's going to be 7 questions for it.
Might need to go out, babe.
We're going to see how well you do. So are you in right now?
Yep.
Okay. So you're in. So I'm going to go ahead and start it. Like I said, if people want to play along, that's fine. But we're going to go ahead and start it right now.
Awful.
You took the lead.
Love it.
All right, so like I said, there's going to be 7 questions, so it won't take too long. Let's see. And I'm getting closer. So let's see here. See if I can do this real quick. I'll turn that off real quick. Awesome. Okay. As that's going on right now. So Miss JLH, let me see here. What musician would you most like to meet and why?
Ooh.
Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran. Okay, why?
Because you like him.
I do like him.
Yeah.
Who would I most like to meet? Gosh. Well, we've met Dirty Honey. I've met the guys of Y&T. I'd like to meet Sammy Hagar.
Sammy Hagar. Nice.
Just because of his love for Sammy Hagar, and like that's a band that we haven't been able to see him in concert since we've been together.
Yeah.
I've latched onto a lot of his musical likings. We were actually joking about that with my Spotify, top 100 this year, most listened to songs. Yeah. I listen to a lot of rock now, and yeah, I think Sammy Hagar would be a cool.
What about Glenn the Blaze? We're really rocking it with some Sammy Hagar.
Okay, so let's see. We got so it looks like Christina got in there. So you finished, right? You finished your 7?
Yep.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, Christina, I'm going to go ahead and end this because you can also jump in maybe the next one here. Let's see. And so we're going to do, let me see what we got here. Let me see if it gives the questions, hopefully. So let's go to review questions. So, whose entrance music includes the lyrics, "They broke the mold when they made me"? So Dolph Ziggler. So you got that one correct. Let's see. The Party Foul is a signature move of which wrestler? Adam Rose. Got that correct.
Don't throw punches, throw parties.
Who was the first person to pin Mr. Perfect in the WWE? So I would assume that you got that one.
Yep.
I know some people hadn't. Who is the WCW Phantom? Did you get that one with Rick Rude?
That was Rick Rude, yes.
Okay. And who was the 100th person to hold the Intercontinental Championship?
I was wrong on that.
That one you were wrong. It was Edge.
Yep.
Okay, so got
Moreno?
that. Kane faced Shane McMahon in an ambulance match, and what pay-per-view?
I was No Mercy.
You put No Mercy?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was Unforgiven. So there's that. And then what year did the Dynamite Kid retire? So 1996 was the answer. Was that your answer?
That was not what I thought originally, and thank God for the rehash question because I got to go back and fix it. Because I thought Dynamite retired much earlier than that. But yeah.
Okay, so 5 out of 7 was your haul, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's go ahead and get that one out. And now, Allison.
Oh, no.
Now we have for you something here. Let me go ahead and, give you just a little insight of what you got going on. So you're going to have to be thinking here a little unagi.
I'm going to do my best, but JLH has never agreed to watch it with me. So my last 5 years, I've been slacking on the re-binges, but I'm going to hold to my history that I know this.
Let me see if I can go and get that pulled up here, my library. All right, and there's my friends. So another one for you. What is one song, Mr. JLH, that makes you emotional? What is one song that makes you emotional?
There's a song by a band called Blue October called Hate Me. And I found it on YouTube, like, I don't know, 4 months ago. I don't even know when I found it. It's not even like a new song, but it's called Hate Me by a group called Blue October. That song, if you're a tortured soul, will torture your soul even more. So I highly recommend only listening to it when you're like down in the dumps. But when you're down in the dumps, there's only one thing that's going to bring you up. And that's a thing that's going to give it to you the way you want it. And that's collagen. So followed by listening to that song, listen to like something from Kiss to like lift you up. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. All right. Let's so Allison, it's going to be joinmyquiz.com and it's going to be 304-732.
Alrighty, it's joining.
304-732. And so Dave says it gives me real feels. That's an old song. Awesome. So like I said, this is joinmyquiz.com. This will be based on friends. So we'll see how you do. Like I said, for wrestling, Mr. JLH was 5 out of 7.
Oh man,
We're gonna beat that.
I know.
All right. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Here we go. Go ahead. All right. And so Mr. JLH, while she's doing that, what song best do you think, what song and best represents you and why?
Oh, for Pete's sake. It's a very loaded question because according to Spotify, my most listened to song was Rock and Roll All Night by Kiss, but I highly debate that because I just don't think I do. But I guess if you were going to keep it simple, it would be, okay, Rock and Roll All Night by Kiss. But if you were going to be like, okay, well, that guy's, a huge wrestling fan or whatever, and this and that, I guess you'd have to go with Real American for Hulk Hogan, right?
Okay.
But for me, like, it's song dependent. And this is, again, being a wrestling fan, and maybe a lot of you can sympathize with this out there. And I guess it depends how much of a wrestling fan you are. But given the different situation that I'm in, a different wrestler's theme song is playing in my head. Like literally this if you look at it's like your top playlist for the top 10, like it's not just a particular song. It's like WWE is like number 2 on my list. Like,
yeah.
Like I hear WWE songs from 30 years ago in my head when I'm buying, milk at the grocery store, like it's like it's WWE themes of all various types and sorts that run through my head for different situations. And it could be, like I said, for as simple as stopping at a stoplight. It's odd.
All right. Let's see. So it looks like we 3 out of 4 done. So Miss JLH actually has sped through this.
Should
So
I try it just to see if how many I answer?
No.
No.
You've never
David,
seen it.
David Soffin is working his way through. So 5 players. Okay, so it looks like we are. I want to double check. Okay, so we still have. Looks like there's a couple of them that are still going. I'm trying to see. So generally with this, like I said, I wanted to kind of compare how you guys would be with your fandoms. What's a song that you find annoying?
Oh.
Anything
Anything that he didn't pick himself.
Yeah, that I didn't pick myself. Yes,
Like,
great answer.
really, that's
Yeah.
the answer. Like, if he, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if it's a song he likes. If he didn't put it on, it wasn't the right song for
Yeah,
the moment.
it's like I have the background of being a DJ. You don't. Like I'll pick the songs that make the whole world sing. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's what it is. Like that's the annoying song is the one where somebody goes, "Here, listen to this song," and I'm like, no, like no, like no. If I wanted to listen to it, I would have already done that or something. Like, yeah, that's a real yeah. We really touched the button right there. Yeah, what you did was you just set a rocket ship off of the pad, because. Like it's like when I used to be on the road, selling the beds, and I'd be in the car with somebody I didn't know very well or whatever, and you always had to capitulate and give them the control of the radio just because they, you were being nice or whatever, right? And invariably they would pick this terrible song by some singer you never heard of or whatever that some friend of theirs they knew or whatever, and you're like, your friend's terrible. Can't we just listen to something I like, So yeah, it's the. If you're picking the song, I'm probably annoyed by it.
Yeah. Welcome to my life.
All right, so the results are in. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So the question, how many seasons of Friends are there?
I actually got this one wrong, but I got it right on the redemption.
Okay.
That was wrong.
What store does Phoebe hate? She hates the Pottery Barn.
That's right. The apothecary table.
What was the name of Monica and Ross's parents? Jack and Judy were the ones. Were you managed to get that one?
I did. I got all of them except for the seasons one, but then I got to go back and redo it.
Yeah.
What was the name of Phoebe's twin sister?
Like
Ursula is the one. It keeps doing this. What is Chandler Bing's middle name? And it's Muriel.
And it goes by Miss Chandler Bong.
There was a great Trogs takeoff of Chandler Bing. You make my heart sing.
Joey's agent, Estelle. And then how many sisters does Joey have? He has 7. So we had a little mixture. Some said 8, some said 4. We have 7. So you only missed 1.
Well done, babe. Well done. You beat me, like she always does. She beats me at the Buzz Lightyear game at Disneyland too, with the little ray guns. David Soffin said something a little bit ago I want to just kind of touch back on very quickly. He's not off the mark when he brings up the fact that yes, Miley Cyrus is definitely one of my favorite singers. I would not kick her songs out of bed for eating crackers. I'm telling you, they're great songs. The last time I went out, I had to scream and shout. My best friend Leslie said she's just being Miley, right? Yes, I like that song.
Some Britney Spears
and Britney Spears. Ooh, I love Britney Spears. Yeah, Madonna. Yeah, I like them all. Alanis Morissette. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just cool in there. Well, Allison, we're going to give you a hug for doing really well. Baymax, you want to come in and give her the hug, please? Let me see here.
Warm fuzzy.
There you go, Baymax. I know recently you got your Baymax Big Pin, and that's kind of put you in a new direction.
Yeah.
So obviously, for Christmas,
I love it.
Give you that little high. But like I said, so I appreciate you guys doing that. So our third segment I want to get into, we are going to take a commercial break, and then what I'd like for you to do, JLH, is lead us into that segment with the wrestling, if you could, with your famous and impressions that you do so well. But let's go ahead and take a commercial break real quick. And let me see here. All right. Sorry about that. Just wanted to see which one I wanted to do, guys. Oh, here. Okay, it is Christmas time. And so, without further ado, guys, we are going to bring in. Let's see. I want you guys to take a. Let me pull. I have so many things on here, so it's like going all the way up. But we're gonna have a little bit of Hulkamania in here, guys. We are going to rock out, have a little bit of fun. So hey, you don't have to take your shirt off, but hey, let's go ahead and get in here and welcome the champ.
Well, you know something epic, Eric? It's a great thing to be here, brother. When I was coming up the I-5, brother, heading towards the south, brother, heading from the north, seeing the snakes and the serpents and the seas, man, I just knew I had to stop and be in the spotlight with you, dude. But all I gotta say is this, man. When we're hanging and banging down on the beach, brother, in Venice Beach, man, all we gotta know is this, brother, is that when you're rocking with the brother, you gotta know, brother, that you are the Smothers brothers. And what you gonna do, brothers, when the brothers and the brothers all figure out that they don't got the same mothers, brothers? What you gonna do?
Well, I say, for me, I bring my little brother to say hi to the big brother.
There's nothing wrong with bringing your little brother. Bring your middle brother, bring your big sister, bring them all, brother. We're having a big old bargain bin of bonanzas here, brother. That's what's going on, brother. You know what I'm saying, brother? How many times can you say brother? Because that's what that guy did, brother. For years and years, brother. He just said brother over and over, and you bought the tickets, brother. And he gave you the big 1, 2, 3, the leg drops, the clotheslines, and the big pose down, brother. That's what he did, brother.
Well, I have to ask you a few questions and just see if some of your knowledge in regards, being someone like a Hulkamaniac, someone who's part of a Hulk nation, Hulkmania. Like, what are the demandments?
Well, brother, the demandments have grown from 3 to 5 over the years, brother. Inflation takes a big toll on you, man. It used to be the training, the prayers, and the vitamins, dude. But then it became believing in yourself. And then it became injecting the anabolics in the right places, brother, because you run out of places to inject the juice, dude. You got to find the right holes to make the gold, brother. You know what I'm saying, brother?
All right. Okay. So I got to ask you about some guys that you may have wrestled with and some things in regards, but let's first touch on this a little bit. In Rocky 3, Hulk Hogan played Thunder Lips, and when Rocky picked up Thunder Lips and threw him, it's a known fact that you had to jump into Stallone's arms. Can you kind of touch on that a little bit?
Hey, brother, there was no me jumping into that meatball's arms, brother. He was jumping out of the ring to get away from all 305, whipping any man alive of me, brother, because I'm 6'7", 2 inches from heaven. And like I said, brother, I weigh 305, brother, and I can whip any man alive. Me jumping into that little meatball's arms, brother, would have him folded up like an accordion, brother.
Well, they say that Stallone, how the irony comes through, that he drew his inspiration from a match between Chuck Wepner and Andre the Giant, where Andre the Giant tossed Wepner over the ropes. And Wepner actually fought Muhammad Ali, but we also saw you pick up Andre the Giant. Now I believe we have some footage from that. And you slammed him. You picked him up and slammed him. What's the adrenaline? What's going through there? Like, what's going on?
Well, you know something, brother. When I picked up all 109,000 pounds of the Giant, brother, in front of 800,000 fans at the Silver Dome, dude. When I picked that big, stinky, nasty Giant up, brother, and all 10,000 pounds of him, brother, was resting on the glides, brother, all I could think was this, man. Was it the biome bleeder Chuck Webner, brother? He had no business being in the ring with me or the Giant at 7'3", brother. And when I laid him down on the crash pad like a 747 coming in for the landing, brother, the whole world shook and 1 million fans inside of the Silver Dome, brother, shook with me, brother.
It was
That's right, man.
Yeah. Okay, so I have got to tell you again. Now here's the thing. You know, many wrestlers, you know, such as Arn Anderson, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Paige, Sting, to name a few. Now, Sting suffered a neck injury during the title match versus Seth Rollins, Night of Champions, and needed surgery for cervical spinal. Now, this is an industry that is show-driven and fan-scripted, so there's a lot of sacrifices. What kind of sacrifices have you made? And I mean, have you endured the bodily harm?
Let me tell you about sacrifice, man. Sacrifice is standing in a hotel room, brother, in Kissimmee, Florida with Vince McMahon trying to come up with ideas for a movie called No Holds Barred, brother. That's where I suffered my big major injury, brother. Doing a bunch of coke in the bathroom at 3 a.m. in Kissimmee, brother. Trying to come up with ideas for a real bad movie, brother. That's where the whole struggle really began. And the injuries to my nose really took place, brother. But after all that, man, it took 19 back surgeries, brother, to put Humpty Dumpty back together, dude. And over the years, a dropping leg drops on jabronis, brother. The back surgeries, man, they've put me on ice, brother. But that's a lasting memory, man. You can't sacrifice without having sacrifice, brother, if you pick up what the Hulkster's putting down, dude.
Awesome. I totally picking that up. Are you guys picking that up in the chat? Now, Hogan, Bret Hart, okay, let me go ahead and like I said, some in the chat, they might not necessarily remember, but I do want to pay a little tribute to him. So Bret Hart, the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Now, he had a great tagline, and he's considered as one of the best of all time. And I know you've had your, you know, differences, or you guys have had opportunities. Well, what do you guys think about that, you know, with Bret Hart? And what is your tagline? What is something that we want? What is your favorite tagline, Hogan?
Well, the best there is and the best there was and the best there ever will be, man. That stops at the border, dude. That stops right there at Toronto, where I defeated the Ultimate Warrior. No matter what anybody says, man. At WrestleMania 6, I beat the brother fair and square, brother. The referee might have been knocked out, but I know how it went down, dude. But yeah, this whole best there is, best there was, best there ever will be thing, man. That's for the birds, dude. That's for the birds if you're picking up what the Hulkster's saying, man. And all I got to say to Bret Hart is this, dude. I'll meet you in Saudi Arabia, brother, in front of 90 million Saudi Arabia screaming Hulkamaniacs, dude. That's where the taglines will come together. The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be meets the immortal Hulk Hogan.
Now, we had, you know, Hogan in the early 80s, obviously you dealt with a lot, but there was a man who, based on his ring talent alone, should have gotten the National Alliance World title. I wanted to know your thoughts on Mr. Ted DiBiase himself, the $1 Million Man. Politics happened. You know, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, dude, he ain't got enough money to buy me out, man. He tried taking me down the gold road, brother, trying to give me the dollar to make me holler, brother. And all the Hulkster had to say to this, to sensational Queen Sherry, when she came out to ask me to sell the belt, brother, I just had to say, hell no.
So back in the day, Arn Anderson, he retired in 1997, and he made a significant impact on the wrestling world. He was known as the Enforcer. His presence was felt. You know, during your time in wrestling, how would you say they would describe you? Were you, was your presence felt? How would you look back on your career and describe yourself to somebody?
Well, hey, brother, how would you describe yourself as being called the presence, brother? You are the presence, man. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, dude. The buck stops with the red and yellow, brother. When you ask anybody from globe to globe, from nation to station, from Maine to Spain and Boston to Austin, dude, they're all going to point to one thing, man, and that's the red and yellow of Hulkamania, brother. They're not going to point to the black and white of Steve Austin, dude. They're not going to point to the black and white of Sting. They're not even going to point to the black and white of the NWO for life. They're going to point to the red and yellow. And what you going to do when all that's left of this Hulk Hogan impression runs out of me, brother?
Now, can you tell some of the fans, I think you originally started out not with the red and the yellow, but you kind of went with the blue and the American Dream types, with the stars and the red and the blue.
I disavow all knowledge of those years, brother. Those are some years I don't much care to remember, man. Those were years filled with bad storylines and bad smackdown moments, brother. Those moments don't exist in the realm of Hulkamania. You might as well just call those the last 3 Star Wars movies that just came out, dude. All bad.
Well, okay, so you've been known, you're a real American hero. But there is the American Dream. Dusty Rhodes, he was an awesome talent behind the mic. He did destroy the 4 Horsemen by himself and was a huge draw in wrestling. He would use psychology more than athleticism, and his interviews were off the mark. How do you compare to someone like Dusty Rhodes? When it comes to interviews, and it comes to being behind the mic, are you the American Dream?
Well, baby, I don't have time to take the stuff off. But behind the mask, behind the character, baby, there's a character for every man. And there's a man that walks. He's the bull of the woods, daddy. And when you're talking about Hulk Hogan, baby, being good on the stick, you got to be talking about Dusty Rhodes being quick with the trick, daddy. And while everybody's out back laughing and joking, the Dream is out front, cooking and smoking, Jack. Woo!
And all I got to say about Dusty Rhodes, dude, is he's the best on the mic there ever was, man.
Because you don't know hard times, daddy. Hard times is when the plumber's out of work. He's got 3 or 4 kids to support, daddy. Hard times is when the automaker ain't got no cars to make. And hard times is when Hulk Hogan's doing bad impressions on shows on YouTube, baby. That's hard times. That's hard times.
So now you, Hogan, like I said, I know that even yourself, that you've been able to, your longtime friend at one point have been able to impersonate Macho Man. Is that true that you can impersonate him pretty well? You had the mega powers, they aligned. What was that like for you?
Well, you know something, brother? I'm just going to let the dude tell you himself, man, because there's no way we can go through a show without having the Macho Man in the flow, brother. And I don't have the whatever you call it, man, but we both got male pattern baldness, so this ought to work, brother. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, yeah. Imagine if I looked like him and talked like that. Yeah, it'd be just like a rocket ship from Mars coming all the way from the stars. It's me, as you can see, the Macho Man Randy Savage. And I want you, Eric, to ask me a question. Yeah, there's one question I want you to ask me. Can I have you ask me a question?
What was your relationship?
Oh, that's not the question. I want you to ask me a question that I want you to ask me. Does that make sense? Would you like to hear the question?
I want to hear the question.
The question is, Macho Man, who's the biggest up-and-comer on the scene? Can you tell me who it is?
You threw me for a loop.
You ask me that, and I'll tell you who.
Okay, one more time. Let me... I'm old, Macho Man. So
yes, me too. I'm dead, so you got to give me credit.
Give me the question one more time.
I want you to ask me who the biggest up-and-comer on the scene is. Just ask me that.
So, Macho Man, who is the biggest up-and-comer on the scene?
Oh, yeah, he's right in front of you. All the way from Sarasota, Florida. 246 pounds on a good day. That's right. The Macho Man Randy Savage. Can you dig it? Because if you can't, I'm gonna have to make you snap into a Slim Jim. Ooh, yeah. Thank
So
you.
Macho Man, what was your favorite match that you look back on that you look back as an achievement and just, it was hard for you, but it was something that you're proud of? What match stands out the most?
The match that stands out the most is the next one, because I have no recollection of the past. That's right. Because when you live in the past, you can never get through to the future, and I live in the future. I am the future. The future hasn't even happened yet because I haven't established it yet. Can you dig it? Can you pick up what the Macho Man is putting down? Ooh, yeah.
Let me ask you, Macho Man, why do you think Hulk Hogan says brother?
Brother, I can tell you that he says brother because that's secret code for brother. Ooh, yeah, brother. Dig it.
Yeah. Now, you have a pretty good intro, but what is the best intro in wrestling that you can remember standing outside of the
You just said it right there. There's no need to repeat it because you just said it. You said you have the best intro. Why say more? The best intro is this one right here because, oh yeah, I'm the one giving it to you. Ooh, yeah. But in real life, the best intro is the one that we're talking about. Mine. Ooh, yeah.
So if you guys obviously partnered up, you and Hulk Hogan, like you have, it's obviously a great match. But who else out there that you know of that you think would make a great tag team matchup? Take somebody from the past, present. It doesn't really matter. That everybody's equal. Who would you like to see in a matchup? It's a tag team brawl.
The match I'd want to see is one that involves me. So how it would go is this. In one corner, you'd have me. Next to me, you'd have me. Yes. And then on the other side of the ring, you'd have two more of me. What a match. That would be. Can you dig it?
So what's your relationship of Vince McMahon? Can you give me some insight about Vince McMahon?
My insight to Vince McMahon is this. Ooh, yeah, I had a good time at your house while you were out. Ooh, yeah.
So we've had some WrestleMania entrances. Triple H in his chair, John Cena in the car breaking glass, The Rock putting his name on fire, Shawn Michaels being lowered down. How did some of those entrances compare? I mean, obviously you probably have one of the best entrances coming into WrestleMania, but is there anyone that tries to come close to you?
Well, everybody tries, but it's just what it is. That's exactly what it is. It's like fries are fries. Those are tries. Just what they're going to do every time. They're going to try. That's right. What I do is do. I don't try. I do. I am that saying that Yoda says. I am the reason he tells Luke Skywalker that. And a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Because I've already been there laying down the knowledge. Ooh, yeah.
Well, we do have somebody that would like to know some knowledge. Somebody is asking about Stephanie.
Well, I answered that question about having fun at Vince's house when he wasn't home. Although nothing's proven, nothing's in concrete, I can tell you I left that company for a reason, and it wasn't necessarily more money.
Would you say now? Obviously, somebody like Sasha Banks, she came in with Snoop Dogg. Has there been somebody that you would like to perform with, or have somebody lead into your intro?
Well, living up here in heaven the way I do, I'm living with all the greats. I'm on stage tonight with Jim Morrison and the Doors. We're going to be doing a la carte version of something by Eric Carr from Kiss on the drums. It's going to be a whole thing. Yeah. You got to show up, though, at the Heaven's Gates to see it. And it's not the easiest place to get to. You got to be great like me. Ooh, yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, let's just say, are you a fan of Kiss?
Who is that? I don't know that band. I don't never heard of them. But I did get in a fist fight with Road Warrior Hawk at a Metallica concert. Ooh, yeah.
If you could, let me see here. What was your favorite Hulk Hogan match?
My favorite Hulk Hogan match is every one of them because I get to lay my fists into that big blonde chrome dome of his. Ooh, yeah. I like the ones best where I attacked him out of nowhere in the locker room just for saying hello to me. Ooh, yeah.
How did you determine what your signature move was going to be? Like, how did that come about?
I didn't determine it. It determined itself, because it fit me just like a glove. The top elbow rope drop. Ooh, yeah. There's nothing like it. There's nothing close to it. And if you say that there is, I may just have to give you the impactive feel of it. Ooh, yeah.
All right. Well, I really appreciate that. I would love to say thank you so much for gracing us with your presence, as well as, Mr. Hulk Hogan himself. I'm going to go ahead and take a commercial break, and we're going to see come back here with Mr. JLH. And it'll be real short here. Let me go ahead once again.
Wow.
All right. Mr. JLH, I have a question that I do want to ask you in relation, being the fact that you have some great, impersonations, everything in general. But if you could be backstage at a Kiss concert and meet the band, but the only city that could happen to make that happen would be Seattle, would you do it?
Yes, I would. I mean, I would return to Seattle for only the right circumstances, and that would definitely be one of them. But with my luck, I'd probably go to the show and, they'd either lose my ticket or no, my luck would be this. I'd show up there and have spent the money and had the chance to meet them, or even had gotten it for free. But I just know that I would probably walk up to Paul Stanley of Kiss, and he would probably go, "Hey, you're the guy that complains about me not signing his autograph. So guess what? You're not going to get your autograph signed tonight either." And that's why Seattle would still be the worst town I've ever been to.
Okay. So if you were a wrestler, what would your name be? What do you think you would name your wrestling market? What would it be?
JLH. And there's proof on film that I was doing the thumbs to me way before RVD. And that's proven on WrestleMania 12 from the third row. Look for the big fat guy in the flannel. That's me doing that all night, way before you ever saw Rob Van Dam on TV pointing to himself. and JLH would be it, because that's the most ridiculously over-the-top, narcissistic son of a gun you could ever want to meet, who tries very desperately to control that and present it in a good nature versus an evil nature, because I've tried the evil way too, and it doesn't work. And that's the best thing I can implore to anybody out there who deals and struggles with mental issues that they refuse to get treated, no matter how many times people say go get treated or take medication or whatever. You got to let people be them until they're a danger to themselves or others, per se. But right here, what you deal with, and you asked about creativity and all of this, all the entities you could put into somebody's head, it all stems from years and years of pro wrestling, Kiss, and just learning the other side of life, as far as not so much numbers and books, but just odd knowledge that somehow gets me by all these years later, and just know when to say when and know when to say no, and know when to pick the right person to take along with you in life, I guess, right? And have that opportunity to do that, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So what, I know you have the 25 days of Christmas, and we're getting closer and closer. People should be watching these videos. You have the clues for the ornaments, but not only that, it's just they're entertaining. So spend the time, to watch, the videos, piece by piece. I know it's hard sometimes when you do get that comment. Great video, it's amazing. But
and here's the thing. I don't want. I can go all night about this. And I'm not going to go off on a tangent and sound like a jerk. And I get it. That's just the way some people communicate. 100 billion% that's just the way some people write. And that for some people, great video is literally a paragraph. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just all they can put for whatever reason. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with just writing great video. Like Allison said, it's an imaginary trophy or an imaginary thumbs down, right? My complaint, or my complaint turned into the form of a statement, is you have to see it from the creator's point of view, that the time we're putting into doing these videos, whether they're wonderful or they're great or they're abysmal, to us, they're the greatest piece of work we've ever done until the next one. And for you to deign to say great video with a party hat emoji, to me, it's equivalent to a kick in the nuts. And that's not just being mean. That's just me as my narcissistic self truly saying, who does this person think they are watching my wonderful work and just saying great, video with a thumbs up, right? Exactly. And I mean, the thing is, it's fine, right? The fact that you're watching is the point. It's just maybe mix up great video with wonderful video, or solid video, or super video, or great show, or
great video today.
Yeah, and that's what they do. They'll add a third word, and again, like I said, that might be a big struggle for them to add that third word, because it's like, oh man, what else do I got to say to this a-hole who's telling me to write more, right? But just know whoever I'm complaining to out there, and literally, you know who you are, because there's no secret. But the thing is, just write a little more, or don't, or write what you want. But just know that I appreciate you no matter what, and no matter how crazy you drive me, I drive myself even crazier, because I have to live with me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Right. You know what I'm saying? So just imagine trying to live with me on her part, but imagine having to be me on my part.
Absolutely. And like I said, so JLH, Miss JLH, like I said, we appreciate all that you guys do in the community. We appreciate the entertainment. We appreciate your videos, your hard work that you're putting into the Christmas.
Can I say something? I'm sorry to interrupt. I know we're running short on time here or whatever, but I have a bombshell announcement to drop. And this literally
exclusive to this live.
It's exclusive to this live. This is part of the 25 days of Christmas. I've been trying to find a way to drop it in. And the people in this live right here, the only way you're going to win the points that you will win on the 25 days of Christmas JLH Parcel of Presents wheel, as much as we've been telling you to count the ornament of the day, right? Correct. And other little things we've done, and this and that and the other, and how your comments are still going to be in the box at the time of the wheel, and this and that. There's one more thing. There's one more thing that's been occurring on this show the last, however long we've done it, 8,000 days or whatever, that's going to occur right up through the last day still. But there's one thing that's been fully in view on this show the entire time that's been growing and growing and growing. And it's going to get you points if you can tell me what that is. And you can, if you can point it out when you do it and submit it to us when we tell you to, there you go. Just know that there's one big thing that is right in front of your face. And it'll get you a lot of extra points involved. Just got to pay attention to what's going on in the show. And that's why fast forwarding the show doesn't help you either.
Yeah.
Nice. So what else is on the horizon for you guys? Now, even when we wrap up the Christmas, and we're going to be going into the new year, I know you had mentioned name changes and different directions. So talk about what's on the horizon for, in 2021.
We've just kind of been spitballing some new ideas just to keep things fresh. I think we are removing the "and Funko" from the name, just so that we're not pigeonholed into just Funko. Obviously, Funko will always have a spot in our home and on our show, but we'd like to explore some other topics.
I think there's enough people doing Funko-based shows that we can all agree that we're all seeing the same boxes spun around in 12 different ways. And there's so much other stuff that we collect, and so much other stuff that we can showcase as far as the video games or the music or the whatevers, or just the people that we've had on our Jeopardies have told us they would come and play Jeopardy again. And we're gaining a nice following out of the Jeopardy stuff that we're doing. And I think the gear of this channel is for you to come here and be free of concern for a while. I stole that directly from Jim Carrey. His intent to get into acting was to free you, the person out there, or me, or whoever, from concern for 2 hours in the theater. So that's the point of this show, is to free you from concern. And if I can free you from concern by talking about Funkos or talking about my life, like tonight, literally, like me opening up myself here as far as talking about being a bad father or bad this or bad that, like all these things that I've done in life or that I have regrets about or whatever. I don't openly speak about this stuff, but it was. Yeah. This gives me the chance to look back at it now on a rewatch and be like, I can talk about this stuff comfortably, and maybe I can help somebody who's dealing with the things that I go through, or maybe I can find somebody to help me, or vice. You know what I'm saying? Like it ain't just the Funko community; it's the community at large that we're trying to reach. Yeah. And we're glad that the people that have found us and accepted us in this Funko community are willing to go on the ride with us to other things. Because I think that the thing about our show is we're not just Funko. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And we have the ability. And the desire to take you guys on adventures to other places. And I think that if you're willing to join us, we're willing to go. You know what I'm saying? And that's what adventure is all about. And that's what adventure is all about. And and in saying that, I mean, really, when you get down to Huell Hauser, right? Going back to Huell Hauser, all you have to do is open your eyes and have a sense of adventure and go out and find them yourself. I'm convinced that if you put the spotlight on any person, on any subject, and if you're genuinely interested in them, you can make something people enjoy watching. Huell Hauser. And that right there is my closing mantra for this show right here, and for anybody involved, that our show is about that. Taking you on an adventurous ride, and we'll see where we land.
All right. Well, there you guys have it. Like I said, we in the spotlight, we had the pleasure of having JLH and Miss JLH, Stoppin' Funko. We are winding down the year, and it has been a year. But one of the amazing things is that we've had an opportunity to meet you guys, to be in the community with you. So that is a positive to take from this and move forward into the new year. So definitely appreciate what you guys do. And like I said, anything you want to say to the fans out there heading out?
We appreciate each and every one of you right there, you over there. Don't forget to join us, you right there, for Jeopardy tomorrow at 9 a.m. Oh, you back there, get up at 4 a.m. to watch the fresh feed of the Stoppin' Funko with JLH's 25 Days of Christmas, because I'm going to tell you more about what you should be looking for. And here's the scoop, the score, and the story. I want to thank Eric from Two Boys and Their Pops, because this has been a refreshing moment in my life. You talk about a seminal moment. You've now gauged and geared the direction of the show from here based off what we're going to see from watching this interview back. It'll either lead to fame and glory or us disappearing forever. But brother, I want to say you rock. I want you to feel better soon. I can see that you are already. You're an amazing person who's and yourself doing a lot for the community. And I'm glad that we found you and you found us, and that, again, we're all in this together, whether it's 2021 or 2020 none. You know what I'm saying? And that's the scoop, the score, and the story. And I really want to say thank you for having us on, and we'll come back on whenever we will. And guess what? Don't forget to join us again at 9 a.m. tomorrow Pacific Standard Time to see Eric on our version of Jeopardy. And who else is going to be on?
Wobosaurus Rex and Dead Zone Citizen.
Dead Zone Citizen. Maybe we ought to win one of his boxes versus giving him a prize.
And JLH, you're going to be in for a treat, because Wobosaurus Rex is going to bring his friend Charlie, who you're going to enjoy meeting. So
I cannot wait for that.
Solid gold. Well, thank you to everybody out there. Happy holidays to everybody out there. Wear a mask when you go out, and if you don't, stay in. That's the bottom line.
And once again, chat, we appreciate you guys being here. So we are going to hope that you enjoy the rest of your weekend. See us again tomorrow. But this is Eric, Two Boys and Their Pops, in the spotlight with JLH.